Chapter 62. In the office, there was a pile of leather equipment. There were leather armors, leather belts, knee pads, wrist pads, and leather boot. Although Ching-er was usually very naughty, she was very serious when it came to work. Ouyang Shua picked up the equipment and looked at them one by one. The wild bull boss's fur was sewn into 2 pieces of leather armor and 4 leather belts. The wild boar boss's fur was sewn into 4 sets of knee pads and wrist pads. The wild wolf boss's fur was sewn into 4 sets of leather boots. As for the wild boar boss's fur, it was not very valuable and was sewn into 4 quivers by Ching. There were a total of 18 pieces of equipment. Apart from the leather armor, the rest were all silver-grade equipment. Of the 2 leather armors, one was gold-grade and the other was dark gold-grade. Ouyang Shua estimated that Ching-er must have used this dark gold-grade leather armor to break through and become a master-grade tailor. Name: Bull Protection, dark gold-grade. Type: leather armor. Weight: 3 kg. Defense: 60. Toughness: 65. Maker: a Mu Qingxi has the right to name the equipment. Evaluation: high-level tailor Mu Qingxi, made from the wild bull boss's leather with a grade of 9. Exquisite craftsmanship, reasonable design, excellent protection. At this stage, high-end players had already adopted black iron equipment, and occasionally 1 or 2 silver-grade equipment. As for gold-grade equipment, probably only the leaders of the top 10 mercenary groups had 1 or 2, and they treated it like a treasure. As for dark gold equipment, there were definitely no more than 5 in the entire China server. It was basically monopolized by Lord-class players. Even if Ching-er tried again, she might not be able to make another dark gold-grade leather armor. There was a lot of luck involved. Ouyang Shua immediately changed out of the barbaric protection leather armor he was wearing and put on the dark gold-grade bull protection. Then he put on the leather belt and knee pads. As for the wrist pads and leather boots, because they were both silver-grade, he did not change them. He planned to reward the infantry platoon with the rest of the equipment. Because the weapons workshop did not have the conditions to make iron armor, the newly formed infantry platoon was made up of light infantry. These leather armors were suitable for them. However, now was not the time to give out the rewards. First, they had not officially become infantry, and second, the infantry platoon leader had not been decided yet, so he did not know who would be rewarded. After dealing with the equipment, Ouyang Shua stayed in the office and did not go out again. On the afternoon of the second day, the results of the year-end assessment of the government officials of the Merit Examination Department finally came out. In the mayor's office, Fan Zhongyan, Tian Wenjing, and Cui Yingyu, the 3 directors, gathered together once again to listen to the report on the year-end assessment from the Merit Examination Department. Fan Zhongyan got up and saluted Ouyang Shua. Then, he said, this assessment is mainly targeted at the grassroots government officials. As for the officers in charge of the various departments, they would be personally inspected by the Lord and were not within the scope of this assessment. In addition, the North Sea Village and the Public Order Division had just been established, so they were not within the scope of this assessment. Therefore, the evaluation this time is mainly aimed at the Agriculture Department, Construction Department, and Household Registration Department under the Administrative Department, the Tax Department, Commercial Department, and the Bank of the 4 Seas under the Finance Department, the Salt Field Department, War Preparation Department, Material Department, and the Chariot Department under the Supplies Department. The evaluation this time will mainly focus on the 2 aspects of morality and talent. 3 agencies, 8 divisions, and a direct subordinate organization had a total of 64 grassroots government personnel. Of those who were evaluated as excellent, 4 were evaluated as excellent, 18 were evaluated as good, 39 were evaluated as qualified, and 3 were evaluated as poor. After listening to Fan Zhongyan's report, Ouyang Shua's expression became solemn. From the results of the assessment, it was not difficult to see that the quality of the government officials at the grassroots level was generally on the low side. More than half of them were only qualified. There were only 4 people who were excellent and there were 3 who were bad. This couldn't help but make him very angry. He asked in a deep voice, "Who was the one who received the mission?" Among the 3 of them, one of them is a construction supervisor called Zhao Si. According to the reaction of the craftsman, this person's style was rough, often insulting and even whipping the craftsman. One of them was the manager of the supplies department's butcher shop, Sun Quan. According to the shop assistant, this person often took the meat from the butcher's shop home, and then made up for the deficit by shortening the weight. The last person was the granary manager of the resource division. He neglected his duties and the granary was infested with rats. He didn't notice it in time, causing over 1,000 units of food to be damaged. Fan Zhongyan clearly came prepared and reported in great detail. Ouyang Shua's face was gloomy as he asked, "What's the opinion of the Assessment Bureau regarding these 3? The Merit Examination Department's opinion is to remove them from their positions and never hire them again." Ouyang Shua clearly didn't want to let these parasites off so easily. He said sternly, "This kind of punishment is far from enough. In my opinion, these 3 should be punished to build the city wall and moat for free. They only need to have 3 meals a day. The punishment will end when the work is completed. This will serve as a warning to others." With such parasites appearing in the department, the various department heads are also responsible for their negligence. I've decided to punish Zhao Duong, the director of the construction department, with 2 months' salary, and Du Xiaolan, the director of the supplies department, with 3 months' salary. In addition, I remember that the butcher shop manager was appointed by the former deputy director of the supplies department, Zhao Yufang. He also needs to be punished, and heavily punished. I've already told them to be cautious in choosing a manager, but this kind of thing still happened. I've decided to punish Zhao Yufang with half a year's salary, and at the same time, remove him from his position as the director of the combat division and demote him to a deputy director. Ouyang Shua's thunderous methods made the hearts of the 3 directors tense up. Not only did he increase the punishment for dereliction of duty, but he also further investigated the responsibility of their superiors. The director of the supplies department, Tian Wenjing, was even more apprehensive. Among the 3 people removed from their positions this time, 2 of them belonged to the supplies department, and one of them was even removed from his position as a director. As the director, he naturally couldn't absolve himself from the blame. Tian Wenjing stood up, bowed, and said loudly, "This subordinate can't absolve himself from the blame for such a slip-up in the supplies department. Please punish me, my lord." Ouyang Shua waved his hand. "Director Tian, you haven't been in office for long, and you weren't around when the other 2 were in office. As the saying goes, the ignorant are not guilty. This time, we're mainly punishing the culprit, so it's not appropriate to expand the scope of the attack. Of course, I also hope that Director Tian can properly rectify the administrative system after you've been demoted. Don't let similar situations happen again." Tian Wenjing nodded vigorously. "Thank you for your forgiveness, my lord. This subordinate will definitely work hard to thoroughly rectify the supplies department so that I won't betray my lord's trust in me." Ouyang Shi looked at Fan Zhongyan again and asked, "Who are the winners?" Among the 4, one of them is a grassroots clerk in charge of water conservancy projects in the Department of Agriculture. His name is Sun Yanong. He's deeply loved by the farmers, and he leads them in water conservancy projects. He has both ability and integrity. Another one is a grassroots clerk in charge of planning in the construction department. His name is Hao Jianqing. It's all thanks to this person that the construction of the city wall and moat project could progress so smoothly. Another one is a clerk in charge of handling loans for the Bank of the Four Seas. Her name is Yang Yun. She's attentive. The last one is the head of the Salt Bureau, Shen Jue. This person is skilled in his work and has a deep understanding of salt drying technique. Fan Zhongyan's evaluation was very precise and to the point. Ouyang Shua's expression softened as he said with a smile, "Good, these outstanding talents should be put in an important position. I've already said that those who make mistakes will be punished, and those who make contributions will be rewarded. I've decided to appoint Sun Yanong as the Deputy Director of the Department of Agriculture, Hao Jianqing as the Assistant Director of the Construction Department, Yang Yun as the Manager of the Bank of the Four Seas, and Shen Jue as the Deputy Director of the Salt Bureau." Fan Zhongyan frowned and hesitated for a moment, but he still braced himself and said, "My lord, I admit that Sun Yanong and Shinjie are outstanding, but isn't it a little excessive to directly promote them to deputy directors? This subordinate suggests that it's better to appoint them as the assistant director first." Ouyang Shua shook his head. "Since these young people are so outstanding, we should boldly promote them and build a broader political platform for them. Of course, there's another reason why we're in such a rush to promote them. Since you've asked, I'll give you a simple explanation. Let's talk about the Salt Fields Department first. Since the day it was established, there hasn't been a proper chief officer. First it was me, then you, Sven, and now Yangon. All of them have been taken over by a higher-ranked chief officer. This situation is not conducive to the development of the Salt Bureau in the long run. Therefore, I've decided to make Shinjue an important candidate for the Salt Bureau. If he can carry the banner of the Salt Bureau at the right time, then I won't hesitate to promote him again. As for the Department of Agriculture, it's a huge department that's in charge of the territory's agriculture, forestry, and animal husbandry. It's obviously a bit strenuous to rely on Director Zhao Dexian alone. Therefore, it's very necessary to appoint a deputy director. Not only these two departments, if there are any outstanding talents in the other departments, the three of you can recommend them to me at any time. As the territory continues to expand, it's very necessary to increase the strength of the territory's reserve talents. Giving more opportunities to the newcomers is creating more possibilities for the territory." The three directors nodded in acceptance of Ouyang Shua's explanation. The reason why Ouyang Shua explained so much was naturally because he didn't want the three ministers to have any doubts. Many of his ideas had to be realized through them. If they couldn't communicate well, there would be deviations in the process of implementation. This was something he didn't want to see. The atmosphere immediately became relaxed after handling the evaluation matters. Cui Yingyu said with a smile, "Big brother, it's almost the new year. Have you prepared any rewards? Everyone has worked hard, and we're all looking forward to the Lord's distribution of wealth." Ouyang Shua smiled and said, "All right, we do need to properly reward them. How about this? I'll set a standard for the rewards. The directors of each department will be given 1 gold coin, the deputy directors 80 silver coins, and the director's assistants 50 silver coins. Grassroots government officials will be rewarded with 1 gold coin, good ones will be rewarded with 30 silver coins, and those who pass the evaluation will be rewarded with 10 silver coins. The finance department will be in charge of the statistics. Come to me after the statistics are done." "Then what about the three of us?" Yingyu asked. "You guys naturally can't use this stinking money as a reward. Don't worry, I've prepared a separate reward. As for what it is, we'll find out tomorrow." Ouyang Shua joked. Chapter 63. After discussing the evaluation, Ouyang Shua didn't stay idle. He seized the time to go to the market. Although he looked confident in front of Yingyu just now, he hadn't even prepared the gifts for the three directors. As a reward for the three important officials, not only could it not be shabby, it had to be tasteful. Fan Zhongyan and Tian Wenjing were both traditional civil officials, so it was most suitable to give them the 4 treasures of the study. The most famous 4 treasures of the study in China were Xian paper, Hui ink, Hu brush, and Duan inkstone. Such a set of 4 treasures of the study naturally cost a lot. The best kind was worth thousands of gold. It wasn't something a small lord like him could afford. Even the most ordinary set cost 20 gold coins. Ouyang Shua gritted his teeth and spent 40 gold coins to buy 2 set. The key was the gift for Ingyu. This girl was the most senior among the 3 important officials, and she was also his sworn sister. He couldn't neglect her. Gifts for girls were limited to jewelry, jade pendants, rouge, and a few other kinds. He also considered that as the elder brother, he couldn't give something too private. In the end, Ouyang Shua chose a light and exquisite jade pendant. It was an auspicious jade pendant carved from Hutian white jade. Of course, he didn't forget the little girl Qing. He also chose a jade pendant for her, spending a total of 30 gold coins. When he returned to the Lord's mansion, Shi Wansui and Lin Yi were already waiting for him in his office. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Sure enough, before he sat down, Shi Wansui said loudly, "Hee, my lord, I heard that you prepared year-end rewards for the civil officials. You can't be biased. Shouldn't you also give some benefits to the soldiers in the army?" Even Lin Yi, who was usually more steady, nodded and jeered. It showed that the military had reached an astonishing consensus on this matter. Ouyang Shua slapped his forehead. He knew he couldn't escape this. Fortunately, he was prepared. He said mockingly, "All right, you know to take the initiative. Tell me, what kind of reward do you want?" Shi Wansui smiled embarrassedly and said, "I know that I didn't do a good job in annihilating the roving bandits last time and disappointed my lord. I don't want any rewards for myself. I just want to get some money for the soldiers in the army." Lin Yi stood up as well. "I'm responsible for what happened last time. I don't dare accept your reward." Ouyang Shua nodded and said with a smile, "Well, at least you have some self-awareness. How about this? Each of the 10 squad leaders and the director of the Military Intelligence Bureau will be rewarded with 1 gold coin. The cavalry platoon and the intelligence division soldiers would each be rewarded with 10 silver coins. The newly formed infantry platoon that has not yet made any contributions will be rewarded with 1 silver coin. Are you satisfied?" Shi Wansui and Lin Yi nodded happily. This was a huge reward. Not daring to delay any longer, they excitedly ran out of the Lord's mansion and went to the barracks to announce the good news. Ouyang Shua roughly estimated that he had spent nearly 120 gold coins on this round of reward. He really didn't know the value of daily necessities until he was in charge. It was not easy to be a good boss with a good salary. He went next door to calling Yu and gave her 50 gold coins. He told her to divide the rewards into red envelopes and let the finance bureau be in charge of keeping them. It was already 6 in the evening when he finished dealing with the rewards. Ouyang Shua went offline. It was already New Year's Eve in reality. Early in the morning, every household began to hang up lanterns and Spring Festival couplet. The lazy Binger also woke up early today and pestered her brother to hang up the lanterns he bought yesterday. The brother and sister had a hard time during the Spring Festival every year. According to Chinese tradition, they missed their parents more during the festive season, not to mention New Year's Eve, which symbolized family reunion. Every New Year's Eve, the little girl would especially miss her parents. Every time after dinner, she wouldn't make a fuss. She would just lie listlessly in her brother's arms and not say a word the whole night, making people's hearts ache. Fortunately, as she grew older, the longing for her parents became fainter and fainter. It was hidden deep in her heart. In the last 2 years, Binger would start to be like other children on New Year's Eve, becoming cheerful. This year, Ouyang Shua couldn't see any difference in the little girl at all. After lunch, Ouyang Shua began to prepare for the New Year's Eve dinner in the evening. Yesterday, he bought a lot of seafood, dry goods, and some main dishes, especially stews, which he needed to prepare in advance. According to the Chinese tradition, the New Year's Eve dinner should be prepared earlier than later. In the suburbs and villages, many people would start to prepare the New Year's Eve dinner after lunch. The earlier the better, meaning to celebrate the New Year early. Binger ran into the kitchen from time to time, claiming to be her brother's assistant. How could Ouyang Shua be at ease? This little girl was completely more of a hindrance than a help. She touched here, looked there, and asked this and that. Ouyang Shua had to coax this little ancestor out of the kitchen. He said with a smile, "Baby, it's New Year's Eve soon. How about you? Go take a bath now and change into the tang suit you bought yesterday. Dress yourself up nicely. I'll be the only one in the kitchen." Binger reluctantly left the kitchen and said like a little adult, "Okay, I'll leave this place to you, brother." Dinner officially started at 6 in the evening. Ouyang Shua made a big table of dishes, including the traditional braised carp, stewed chicken, seafood, and abalone. Although it was a bit wasteful, as long as it looked festive, everything was worth it. Before dinner, the siblings first worshipped their parents' memorial tablet. Seeing Binger wearing a cute tang suit and kneeling in front of the memorial tablets, Ouyang Shua's heart was calm. Father, mother, you can rest assured. Binger has grown up healthily and has become more sensible and adorable. Just after dinner, he received a video call from son Xiaoye. Binger was obviously very happy, showing off her new clothes to sister Xiaoye. Seeing the two beauties chatting passionately, Ouyang Shua didn't disturb them. Instead, he turned around and walked into the bedroom. Like in previous years, he not only prepared New Year's money for Binger, but also a New Year's gift. This year, he bought a very special gift for her. On the surface, it was just a ball, a bit like the summoning ball in Pokemon. In fact, it was an artificial intelligence pet with high AI, priced at 10 million credit points. Such a luxurious pet, only Ouyang Shua, as her brother, was willing to give it up. With such a high price, it naturally had its uniqueness. This type of pet was strange and had long been out of the category of kittens and puppies. All kinds of pets in cartoons, movies, and even games could be cloned in reality through biological printing technology. The artificial intelligence pet that Ouyang Shua bought was produced by the most famous artificial intelligence company in the Federation, 9. It was the only one in the world. As an artificial intelligence with high AI, not only could it accompany its owner in reality, but it could also appear in various virtual online games through the Skynet, accompanying its owner to continue the game journey. Of course, in order to maintain the balance of the game, this type of pet basically had no attack power in the game, and only existed as ornamental pet. Ouyang Shua didn't expect too much. He just wanted to find a playmate for Binger. A year later, this playmate could continue to accompany her in Earth on 1E. Naturally, it was perfect. When he returned to the living room, Xiaoye and Binger were almost done chatting. After all, it was New Year's Eve, and there were all kinds of greetings, so they couldn't chat for too long. Of course, Ouyang Shua knew that, so he simply said a few words to son Xiaoye and hung up the video call. Binger consciously ran in front of her brother, stretched out her little hand and said with a smile, "Congratulations, money. Here's the red packet." Ouyang Shua touched her little head, handed her the New Year's money and said, "Big brother prepared a special gift for you this year." Binger took the New Year's money and asked curiously, "What gift?" Dang, 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 dang. Ouyang Shua took out the summoning ball from behind him and placed it in front of Binger. The little girl took the summoning ball and asked curiously, "Big brother, what is this? A small ball?" "You will know when you press the red button at the top of the ball." Binger pressed on the red button curiously. Suddenly, a beautiful mechanical voice sounded, "Activated artificial intelligence pet successfully. Successfully locked on pet owner. Summoning ball activated." The summoning ball slowly opened, and butterfly fairies the size of fists flew out and landed on Binger's little hand. They said crisply, "Hello, master." The shape of the butterfly fairies was exactly the same as in the movies and TV series. There was no trace of artificiality at all. They were no different from real creatures and were exceptionally cute. In order to match Binger's age, Ouyang Shua specially chose the shape of a child when he made the customization. Therefore, a more accurate name should be Butterfly Fairy Baby. Seeing such a magical little life, Bing-er was overjoyed. She giggled and said, "Big brother, is this your gift for Bing-er? Bing-er likes it so much." "Yes, in the future, this butterfly fairy baby can always accompany Bing-er. You have to take good care of her. Bing-er, give her a name first," Ouyang Shua said with a smile. "Well, let's call her Shue. Hee, it will be a pair with Bing-er." It was hard to tell that the little girl was quite talented in naming. Chapter 64. Ouyang Bing was overjoyed to receive a gift like the butterfly fairy baby. For the rest of the time, she quietly sat beside her brother and accompanied him to watch the Spring Festival Gala that had been performed for more than 200 years. Shue sat on her shoulder and stared at the TV curiously. At 9 p.m., Ouyang Shua received a video call. He picked up his phone and saw that it was from his aunt. As the brother and sister's only relative, this aunt could be considered a maverick. Her name was Lin Jing. She was 15 years younger than her sister, Ouyang Shua's mother, Lin Jing. Therefore, she was the same age as Ouyang Shua, only 6 years older. Logically speaking, Ouyang Shua and this aunt should be very close, but in reality, it was exactly the opposite. It wasn't that he didn't want to get close to his aunt, who was not much older than him, but Lin Jing hated men, even her nephew. Because of this strange habit, Lin Jing found a girl after graduating from university and registered their marriage without her family's blessing. Ouyang Shua's grandparents didn't have a son, only 2 daughters. Both of them were in poor health, and after the death of their eldest daughter in a car accident and the marriage of their youngest daughter, they passed away in less than 2 years. Because Ouyang Shua's father was the only son of his grandparents died of old age not long after Ouyang Shua was born. Therefore, he had a very deep relationship with his grandparents. Because of this, he gradually distanced himself from his aunt and rarely contacted her. As for Bing-er, she had only seen his aunt a few times, so her impression of her was even more vague. Therefore, Ouyang Shua was very surprised to receive a call from his aunt on New Year's Eve. After he picked up the call, Lin Jing appeared on the screen. To be honest, his aunt and his mother were the same. They both inherited their grandmother's elegant temperament and exquisite appearance. Next to his aunt was another beautiful woman, who looked like a white-collared office lady. She was the kind of independent woman with a strong aura, confidence, and elegance. Her name was Xiexiun, his aunt's partner and Ouyang Shua's uncle in name. After his rebirth, Ouyang Shua cherished his family even more. In his previous life, because of his stubbornness before boarding the Spaceship 6, he didn't even think of contacting his aunt and exchanging their game IDs. In the 5 years he spent in the game, he never saw his aunt again, and it became one of his few regrets. The dead are gone. People should learn to look forward. Ouyang Shua wasn't as cold as before. Instead, he called Bing-er to his side and said with a smile, "Little aunt, Happy New Year." Lin Jing was very surprised by her nephew's reaction. She was already prepared to be hung up on by him, but she didn't expect it to turn out like this. In fact, in his previous life, Ouyang Shua had indeed hung up on his aunt's call and never contacted her again. Xiao Shua, Happy New Year. The one beside her should be Bing-er, right? In the blink of an eye, the little girl has grown up so much. She really looks like her mother. Little Aunt said with a smile. Only then did Bing-er remember that the person in the video was the legendary aunt. She immediately said, Aunt, I am Bing-er. Happy New Year." Hearing her master's words, Snow, who was standing on her shoulder, said in a cute voice, "Happy New Year. Happy New Year." Shue-er's mimicry made Bing-er giggle. The little girl held Shue-er in her hands as if she was presenting a treasure to Lin Jing. Auntie, this is the pet that Big Brother gave to Bing-er. Bing-er named her Shue. Isn't she cute? Although this kind of AI pet wasn't common, Lin Jing still recognized it. She thought it was just an ordinary AI, so she didn't pay much attention to it. She said with a smile, "Cute. She's as cute as Bing-er." Xiaoxian, who was sitting beside Lin Jing, saw Snow and was surprised. She could tell that Snow wasn't ordinary and even knew where it came from. After the small talk, Lin Jing remembered the real reason for the call. She turned to Ouyang Shuo and said, "Xiao Shuo, have you heard of a game called Earth on 1E?" Ouyang Shuo was shocked. Why did Little Ant mention this game? Did she know something about it? It wasn't impossible. After all, Little Ant didn't return to Jiaozhou after graduation. Instead, she stayed in Shanghai when she was in university. After she got married, she basically lost contact with her family. Nobody knew what she had been doing all these years. On the surface, Ouyang Shuo still had a smile on his face. He said calmly, "Earth on 1E? What's so special about this game that Little Ant mentioned it during Chinese New Year?" "I can't tell you the specific reason. I can only suggest that you play this game. If you need money, I can transfer it to you." Lin Jing was more cautious and said vaguely. Ouyang Shuo nodded. He could basically confirm that Little Ant really knew some inside information about the game. As for how she did it, he didn't know. He was hesitating whether he should tell Little Ant the truth or not. He thought about it seriously. With the amount of attention he received in the game and a strong opponent like Di Chen, it really wasn't a good idea to involve her. If the secret was leaked, it would be beyond redemption. Ouyang Shuo pretended to be relaxed and said, "No need. I'm actually playing this game too." You're already playing it? That's great. Tell me your game ID. Auntie has quite a bit of influence in the game," Lin Jing said in surprise. Ouyang Shuo shook his head. "No, I'm used to playing alone. Why don't Auntie tell me your ID? When I really can't play anymore, I'll look for Little Ant to support me." Haha. If Ouyang Shuo wasn't her nephew and she didn't feel guilty for treating him like this, Lin Jing would have already lost her patience. Lin Jing hated men, so she was already impatient. At this time, she could only hold back her displeasure and said reluctantly, "All right then. You're still so stubborn. I won't force you. Remember, Little Ant's ID in the game is Snow Rose. If anything happens, you must look for me." Ouyang Shuo was shocked again. He blurted out, "Snow Rose? It's good that you know. All right, that's all for now. Bye." Lin Jing's patience had clearly run out. She turned to Binger and said, "Binger, say goodbye to Little Ant. I'll come to see you when I'm free." Binger nodded obediently and said sweetly, "Bye, Little Ant." After hanging up the phone, Ouyang Shuo still couldn't calm down. He never thought that his Little Ant would be the vice leader of Snow Rose, which was ranked second among the top 10 mercenary groups in the game. Xiaoxian, who was standing next to her, should be Snow Rose, the vice leader of Snow Rose. Fate really played a big joke on him. If he hadn't hung up on his Little Ant in his previous life, he would have been able to enter Earth on 1E in advance. If he had Snow Rose as his backer in the game, would he still have to wander around with Binger? Everything would be different from before. There were no ifs in fate. This time, he had unexpectedly obtained a powerful external aid in the form of Snow Death Rose. How would it affect his plans in the game? Everything was unknown. At the same time, an interesting conversation took place between Lin Jing and Xiaoxiao. Seeing that Lin Jing had hung up the phone, Xiaoxiao, who hadn't said a word, said thoughtfully, "Jing, your little nephew seems to be quite extraordinary. That stinking brat is too annoying. I wanted to help him, but he tried to act cool with me, saying that he likes to play alone. He really doesn't know what's good for him." Lin Jing was obviously a little careless. Xiaoxiao gently shook her head and said with a smile, "You don't even know that you were fooled. Do you know how much your little niece's artificial intelligence pet costs? How much can it cost? Although it does look a little more exquisite, it's at most 10 to 20,000 credits. You have no taste. That's a limited edition AI produced by 9. It costs 10 million credits," Xiaoxiao calmly said as she rolled her eyes at Lin Jing. That's expensive. When did this kid become so rich? If I remember correctly, he should have just graduated this year. That's why I said he's not simple. Thinking about Earth on 1E, he's just a university graduate. How could he notice this game and be willing to spend so much money on a VR pod? That's not normal. I'm guessing that he's like us, a player who participated in the closed beta, Xiao analyzed. Yao, you're right. This stinking brat, he even dares to fool me. I'll teach him a lesson, Lin Jing said as she was about to call Ouyang Shuo again. Xiao quickly stopped the agitated Lin Jing. Look at your little nephew. He's not an idiot. When he found out that you're the vice leader of Snow Rose, he didn't reveal his ID. It was obvious that he was not as simple as a lone ranger in the game as he had claimed. If you call him now, he definitely won't tell you the truth. I think it's better to wait and see. Lin Jing was the vice leader of the second largest mercenary group in China. Naturally, she wasn't a simple person. After calming down, she felt that Xiao's words made sense. Now wasn't the time to get to the bottom of it. Alright, we'll do as you say, Yao. Anyway, the purpose of this phone call has been achieved in disguise, and I have fulfilled my responsibility as an aunt. Let's talk about the future in the future. Thinking about her deceased parents, Lin Jing was a little dispirited. Chapter 65. The siblings stayed up all the way until 11 at night, when Bing carried her Shui back to their room to sleep. Ouyang Shuo turned off the TV, hurriedly returned to his room, and logged into the game. In the game, it was also New Year's Eve, but it was already 11 a.m. The fireworks, spring festival couplets, and other New Year goods bought the day before yesterday had already been distributed to every household by the supplies division. As far as the eye could see, every household had already pasted spring festival couplets, hung peach talismans, and lanterns. Although Shanghai town was simple and crude, the festive atmosphere here was much stronger than in reality. Seeing that Ouyang Shuo was finally online, Qing who was hanging lanterns in the backyard, said mischievously, "Big brother is so lazy. It's the new year, but he's still sleeping in." In the eyes of the NPCs, when players logged off, they were returning to their rooms to sleep. Ouyang Shuo was speechless towards Qing Er's teasing. He deliberately put on a straight face and said, "Humph, so your big brother doesn't want his New Year's gift anymore?" When she heard about the gift, the little girl's eyes immediately lit up. She didn't care about the lanterns that hadn't been hung properly and ran over to Ouyang Shuo with a swish. She said fawningly, Big brother is busy with official business, so it's understandable for me to occasionally sleep a bit more." Ouyang Shuo shook his head helplessly and didn't tease her. He withdrew a jade pendant from his storage pouch and passed it to her before saying with a smile, "Here, this is a New Year gift from Big Brother. Happy New Year." Qing took the jade pendant, and she was so happy that her eyes narrowed. This made Si Qin and Si Qi, who had just been recruited into the Lord's mansion, envious. Ouyang Shuo looked at Ing Yu's maid, Si Qin, and asked, "Do you know where Ing Yu is?" Si Qin quickly bowed and said respectfully, "Sir, Miss is giving out red envelopes in the front yard." Ouyang Shuo nodded, turned around and walked towards the front yard. Sure enough, he saw the finance department giving out red packets, with Ing Pomo standing at the side coordinating. Seeing Ouyang Shuo, Ing Yu came over and said with a smile, "Big brother, you woke up a little late today." Ouyang Shuo ignored her teasing and asked, "How was the red packet distribution? Did it go well?" "Everything went well. As for the military reward, little sister has already arranged for people to send it to the barrack. The two generals, Shi and Lin, are in charge of the distribution. As for the civil officials, they're almost done." "That's good." As he spoke, he took out another jade pendant and handed it to her. He said with a smile, "Here, this is the New Year's gift that Big Brother prepared for you. Happy New Year." Ing Yu received the jade pendant and said with a smile, "Thank you, Big Brother. Happy New Year." I still have to deliver gifts to Mr. Fan and Mr. Tian, so I won't disturb you any longer." Ouyang Shuo smiled as he bid farewell and left. He turned around and walked into the administrative office. After giving the 2 sets of the 4 treasures of the study that he bought yesterday to Fan Zhongyan and Tian Wenjing, he chatted with the 2 gentlemen for a while. Before he knew it, it was already noon. After lunch, Shanghai town began to get busy preparing for the New Year's Eve dinner. As this was the first New Year's Eve in Shanghai town, the reunion dinner was made even more heartwarming under the planning of Du Xiaolan. The entire New Year's Eve dinner was designed to be a traditional street banquet in China. The first table was placed in the main hall of the liege's mansion. The people lined up along the courtyard of the liege's mansion, to the square in front of the mansion, and then along the commercial street all the way to the town's entrance. The banquet officially started at 6 in the evening. At the head table of the meeting hall, Ouyang Shuo, Fan Zhongyan, Tian Wenjing, Shi Wansui, Cui Yingyu, Mu Qingxi, Lin Yi, and Su were seated. There were 2 tables in the courtyard, and one of them was occupied by the division chief and squad leader. There were a total of 30 tables in the square, and they were occupied by military soldiers and low-level government officials. Along the commercial street there were a total of 108 tables, and all the townspeople took their seat. The banquet lasted until 8:30 in the evening, when everyone was drunk and toasted each other. The system was quite humane this time. It didn't send the Nian beast to cause trouble during the reunion dinner. Ouyang Shuo was still thinking about the Nian beast's spring event, so he didn't really drink alcohol at the table. He only drank plain water instead. All the military personnel were instructed by him not to touch a single drop of alcohol. In his previous life, there was a muddle-headed liege who got drunk on New Year's Eve. When the Nian beast came, he naturally didn't have the strength to fight back. His village was destroyed, and a happy occasion turned into a funeral. System announcement: Gaia Year 1, February 19th, 9 p.m. Sharp, the Nian beast will descend upon the wilderness. All lieges, please prepare in advance. System announcement: Gaia Year 1, February 19th, 9 p.m. Sharp, the Nian beast will descend upon the wilderness. All lieges, please prepare in advance. System announcement: Gaia Year 1, February 19th, 9 p.m. Sharp, the Nian beast will descend upon the wilderness. All lieges, please prepare in advance. According to tradition, a territory would be allocated 1 to 2 Nian beasts. The Nian beasts in the first year were on average level 30, and they would increase by 10 levels every year. The Nian beast would only attack the main territory, and subsidiary territories weren't within its attack range. Hence, as long as they were prepared, they wouldn't cause any damage to the territory. Instead, they would be rewarded handsomely. After all, it was New Year's Eve, and the system didn't want to ruin the festive atmosphere. Organizing this kind of event was more of a way to liven things up. Hearing the system announcement, Ouyang Shuo gestured to Shi Wansui and Lin Yi to bring the soldiers back to the camp. He returned to his room to take out his weapons, and brought Black Whirlwind from the stable, heading straight for the camp. When he entered the camp, the soldiers were already prepared. As this was different from the previous battles, he felt the need to give some instructions beforehand. He smiled and said, "Don't be nervous, everyone. This time, to deal with the Nian beast, the main goal is to trap the enemy, and injure the enemy is secondary. Hence, everyone must protect yourselves. I don't want anyone to get hurt in this battle." "Yes, sir." The soldiers shouted in unison. "Go!" Ouyang Shuo turned his horse around and charged out of the camp. Ouyang Shuo personally guarded the north gate, and Lin Yi led 50 cavalry to guard him. Shi Wansui led the newly formed infantry platoon to guard the west gate, while Zhao Sihu and Li Mingliang led the remaining 50 cavalry to guard the east gate. The military intelligence department was responsible for the communication between the 3 sides. Everyone used the fireworks as a signal, and once the Nian beast appeared, they would immediately gather. At 9:10 p.m., there was still no trace of the Nian beast. Ouyang Shua gestured for everyone to calm down. 10 minutes later, two giant beasts headed straight for the north gate. The Nian beast was more than 10 feet long, and its body was covered in dense dark green scales. Only its neck and tail had a few tufts of golden fur. There were horns on its head, and its eyes were like copper bells. It had sharp teeth, and its gaze was ferocious. The two Nian beasts, one big and one small, galloped like the wind, occasionally roaring Nian. These two Nian beasts were a pair of male and female. The larger one was the male, and the smaller one was the female. Ouyang Shua ordered Lin Yi to release the fireworks signal while he used detection to check the Nian beast's attribute. Name: the Nian beast, spiritual beast, level 40. The skills: blood slaughter, increases kill points by 80, charge, increases attack by 60, combat strength, 80, rating, an evil beast from ancient myths and legends. It was said that in ancient times, Nian beasts would attack villages at midnight at the end of the year. Any village that was conquered by the Nian beasts would suffer a cruel massacre, and the horns on their heads were the weapons of slaughter. After the massacre, the Nian beasts would eat the heads of the villagers. They were really lucky this time. Not only did they encounter two Nian beasts, but their levels were 10 times higher than the average. Ouyang Shua was a little worried that the beginner contract scroll wouldn't work. Under Lin Yi's command, the cavalry quickly formed a circle and ran clockwise, trapping the two Nian beasts in the middle. It wasn't a good idea to fight the Nian beasts before the infantry arrived. The two Nian beasts were very agitated after being trapped in the middle. They kept charging, trying to break through the cavalry's encirclement. Unfortunately, the cavalry was no longer the same as before. After a few big battles, they were all very skilled with bows and horses. Whenever the Nian beasts moved, the encirclement would move as well, making the two beasts return empty-handed. In order to increase the chances of taming the beasts, Ouyang Shua had to order the cavalry to use bows and arrows to fight back. As long as they didn't hit the eyes or any other vital parts, they would be able to get rid of the Nian beast. They were, after all, ferocious beasts. Under the pressure, the horses of the cavalry couldn't take it anymore. They couldn't run as fast as they started, and there were a few times when they were in danger. Fortunately, Shi Wansui from the west gate and Zhao Sihu from the east gate had received the signal and arrived at the north gate as reinforcements. There was no suspense in the battle after that. The infantry kept the Nian beasts at the front while the cavalry kept firing from behind. In less than 10 minutes, the two Nian beasts fell to the ground. Ouyang Shua signaled the army to stop attacking and quickly walked in front of the Nian beast. He took out the beginner contract scroll and opened it slowly. The scroll turned into a white light, covering him and the Nian beast in it. Following that, a pleasant system notification sounded. System notification: congratulations to player not naked for taming the Nian beast. The Nian beast has automatically become the guardian beast of Shanghai Town. Reward: 500 reputation points. Under the white light of the contract scroll, the Nian beast's injuries were healed. It nodded at Ouyang Shua, showing its affection and taming. It then turned to the female beast lying on the other side, looking at its master with a pleading look. Ouyang Shua understood and nodded. Don't worry, I'll heal it. Nian was a very intelligent monster. Especially after they signed a contract, they would be able to communicate telepathically. Naturally, it understood what Ouyang Shua meant and nodded happily. Ouyang Shua ordered Lin Yi to arrange for a stretcher to carry the female beast to the medical center for treatment. The rest of the soldiers returned to camp. On the way back, he took the opportunity to check on the changes that happened to the Nian beast after it became the guardian beast. Name: Nian beast, spirit beast. Type: Shanghai Town guardian beast. Level 40. The skills: blood slaughter, increases kill points by 80, charge, increases attack by 60, combat strength, 80. Traits: deterrence, increases security of the territory by 20, Guardian, increases defense of the territory by 10. Description: an evil beast from ancient myths and legends. It is said to be the offspring of an evil dragon and a black Qilin. As a guardian beast, it can activate the Qilin bloodline and evolve. Ouyang Shuan nodded in gratification. As expected of a guardian beast, the two traits were very useful. More importantly, there was a certain chance that the Nian beast could evolve into a Qilin. It was just that the pigman from his past life didn't have this condition. In this life, he could only rely on himself to figure it out. Chapter 66. By the time Dr. Song finished treating the injured female Nian, it was already 10 o'clock at night. Ouyang Shua still had things to do in real life, so he didn't stay for long. He temporarily stored the two Nian beasts in the stable and hurriedly went offline. In real life, it was already the first day of the new year, and a new year was about to begin. Last night, the sound of firecrackers and fireworks never stopped, and it was very lively. When Ouyang Shua walked out of the room, Bing had already woken up and was playing with Shui in the living room. When she saw her brother, she giggled and said, "Brother is a big lazy worm, he doesn't even get up as early as Bing Big lazy worm, big lazy worm." Shui this little fellow, was repeating her brother's words again. Ouyang Shua smiled bitterly and shook his head. These few days, he had been busy both in the game and in real life. In the end, in the eyes of these two little girls, Qing and Bing he had become a big lazy worm. It was really hard to say. He walked into the bathroom, and after a simple wash, he returned to the living room and said to Bing with a smile, "Darling, today I will take you to the temple fair, okay?" Okay. Being able to go out to play, this little monkey Bing was naturally happy. "If you go out, you can't bring Shui along. There are too many people outside, it's not safe," Ouyang Shua explained. "Ah? What should I do? Bing doesn't want to be separated from Shui." The little girl seemed to be in a difficult situation. Shui also flew to Bing's head in a very human-like manner, grabbed her head, and said with a very reluctant voice, "No. Then you can keep Shui in the summoning ball, you can't summon her out." Seeing these two little fellows clinging to him, Ouyang Shua could only settle for the next best thing. Okay. This was still acceptable. Bing took out the summoning ball and Shui obediently flew into the summoning ball. After the siblings went out, they went straight to the busiest temple fair in Jiaozhou. Jiaozhou's Spring Festival Temple Fair was centered around the Xing Wang Temple's Zhongyou Square, Zhongshan 4th Road, Fushua West Street, Beijing Road, Huifu East Gourmet Street, Defo Temple, and Wuxian Temple. Every day there would be special folk cultural performances, exhibitions of intangible cultural heritage handicrafts, exhibitions of traditional small commodities, and exhibitions of traditional delicacies. Not only could the citizens and tourists watch the Northern Temple Fair events such as walking on stilts, yanga, making sugar figurines, and carrying god statues, but there were also Sichuan opera face-changing, acrobatics, magic, hard qigong, and other Chinese unique skills, Baimei fist, Kaili Buddha fist, Wing Chun, and other martial arts conventions. There were also folk puppets, mannequins, Wuhua marionettes, Gaozhou single puppets, and so on. Wandering around the lively temple fair, shuttling through the sea of people, the brother and sister enjoyed themselves so much that they forgot to go home. A temple fair was a carnival for the new year. Here, eating, drinking, playing, traveling, shopping, and entertainment were all part of it. The two foodies liked the gourmet street the most. There were Beijing Tonghulu, Tianjin Gubuli, Korean pastry, Changsha stinky tofu, Tianjin 18th Street dough twist, Mongolian barbecue, Shanghai crab roe soup dumplings, Old Beijing pear soup, Taiwan kimchi stinky tofu, and many other delicacies from all over the country. The little girl Binger was quite considerate. She didn't forget to prepare gifts for everyone even though she was strolling around to her heart's content. The little girl used her New Year's money to buy a Beijing opera mask for big sister Xiaoye and a clown mask for her brother. Of course, Shui Er's gift was also a very exquisite mini Beijing opera costume. Ouyang Shua held the clown mask, shaking his head and smiling bitterly. This little girl was deliberately making fun of him. It was already 6:30 in the evening when they returned from the temple fair. Binger was exhausted once again. She took a shower and then carried Shui back to her room to rest. Ouyang Shua couldn't wait for the little girl to go to bed early. There was still an important event waiting for him in the game. He hurriedly returned to his room. When he went online again, it was exactly 7 in the morning in the game. After getting up, Ouyang Shua didn't put on his leather armor and boots as usual. Instead, he put on the scholar's clothes that Qing sewed for him. The reason was that today was the first day of the first lunar month, and Shanghai town was going to hold a grand sacrificial ceremony. Before 7 in the morning, all the people of Shanghai town had gathered in the square in front of the ancestral hall. Even the villagers of Beihai village had taken fishing boats from their residences early to attend the sacrificial ceremony. Fan Zhongyan, the chief of the administrative division, was the priest of the sacrificial ceremony, and Tian Wenjing, the chief of the resource reserve division, was the libation. After Ouyang Shua arrived at the ancestral hall, the sacrificial ceremony officially began. The ancestral hall of Shanghai town was dedicated to the ancestor of the Yellow Emperor, Xianyuan. The whole sacrificial ceremony consisted of a total of 9 procedures: welcoming the god, laying the jade and silk, entering the team, offering the first, second, final, removal, sending the god away, and looking at the god. It was carried out strictly according to the procedures, and no one dared to be careless. After the whole process was completed, it was already 9 in the morning. After worshipping the ancestor of the Yellow Emperor, everyone moved to the Mazu temple and began to worship Mazu. As the only Shinto religion officially recognized by Shanghai town, the ceremony to worship Mazu was equally solemn and grand, comparable to that of the ancestor of the Yellow Emperor. It was 11 in the morning when the sacrificial ceremony was completed. While there was still time, Ouyang Shua called Gu Xiuwen and Zhou Feng, who had rushed back to attend the ceremony, to his office. After sitting down, he smiled and asked, "How is it? Is everything going smoothly in Beihai village?" "Thank you for your concern, Lord. Beihai village is gradually getting on the right track. It has already been promoted to a second-grade village before the new year. The layout of the entire village is based on the layout of the original Shanghai village. At the same time, in order to strengthen the connection with the territory, we have built a pier near the mouth of the river," Gu Xiuwen reported. Ouyang Shua nodded. "Very good, very fast. What are your plans for the next step of construction?" "This subordinate intends to slow down for the next step. We will first lay a solid foundation and improve the organizational structure," Gu Xiuwen said cautiously. Ouyang Shua shook his head. "No, that's too conservative. Let me put it this way. The next step is to put the fishermen under the management of Beihai village. In addition, the third phase of the Northern Twilight Saltworks is about to start, and the population of Beihai village will rapidly expand. Therefore, I request that Beihai village be promoted to a third-grade village within a week. When Shanghai town is promoted to a second-grade village, Beihai village will be promoted to a first-grade village." As the former head of the Household Registration Office, Gu Xiuwen was very familiar with the population of Shanghai town. When he heard this arrangement, he asked in confusion, "According to your plan, won't it greatly delay the advancement of Shanghai town to Beihai village by transferring people from Shanghai town to Beihai village? Shanghai town's advancement is already fast enough. It's time to give our opponents some breathing room. I'm afraid that if we push them too hard, it will have a negative effect. We can use this opportunity to lay a solid foundation. When their attention is still focused on their headquarters, they definitely won't know that our subsidiary village has already been promoted to a first-grade village," Ouyang Shua explained with a smile. Also, you should do some calculations. Shanghai Town's spawn rate is 75 people per day, while Beihai Village's spawn rate is only 14 people per day, which is less than 1/5 of the headquarters. Therefore, we can sacrifice a bit of Shanghai Town's advancement rate to quickly raise Beihai Village's level. All in all, it will be very beneficial to the increase of the territory's population, Ouyang Shua continued. This little trick of increasing the territory's population was something that the feudal lords who had been promoted to the county level in his previous life came up with when they wanted to quickly raise the level of their subsidiary territory. Now, Ouyang Shua had borrowed it in advance when he was in a first-grade village. It had to be said that it was very willful. Gu Xiuwen was suddenly enlightened and said excitedly, "I, Xiuwen, admire your thorough planning. Since that's the case, when we return, I will immediately organize the manpower to build the basic buildings of the second-grade village. We will definitely raise it to a third-grade village within a week and not let you down." Ouyang Shua smiled and said, "I'm naturally at ease with you taking care of it. How is the formation of the territorial garrison going? Is it going smoothly?" He was asking Zhou Feng, who had been silent all this while. Zhou Feng nodded and said loudly, "Reporting to my lord. According to your orders before you left, I have already selected 20 soldiers from the newly spawned refugees after the establishment of the intermediate barracks and have them become militia. The next stage is to raise them to the maximum level as soon as possible so that they can become marines. Have you communicated with the intermediate shipyards? Do you know the progress of the small-sized warships?" Ouyang Shua asked. "Yes. According to Manager Jing, the construction of the small-sized warships has already begun. With the current speed of the shipyards, they can build a small-sized warship in 3 days. It's enough to meet the needs of the Navy in the early stages. As expected of a person recommended by Lin Yi, Zhou Feng's thinking was clear and thorough. Ouyang Shua was very satisfied. Very good. You might have guessed that I didn't arrange for you to go to Beihai Village just to build a garrison. In the future, Beihai Village will be the naval base and headquarters of the territory. Therefore, from the moment the village is established, you will have to work hard for this goal. Understood. I will do my best and not let you down." Zhou Feng replied loudly. "Good. It seems that arranging for you two to go to Beihai Village was the right decision. I am very satisfied with the progress that Beihai Village has made so far. I hope that all of you can continue to work hard and create more glory." Ouyang Shua concluded, ending this conversation that wasn't a debriefing, but was more like a debriefing. "We will not let you down, my lord." Gu Xiuwen and Zhou Feng replied in unison. Ouyang Shua looked at the time. It was almost 12 before he knew it. He smiled. "Let's go eat lunch." After lunch, Gu Xiuwen and Zhou Feng took the boat back to Beihai Village. With Ouyang Shua's explanation, the two were even more excited. They were full of anticipation for the future of Beihai Village. Chapter 67. In the afternoon, Ouyang Shua took the time to go to the barracks and change classes for the infantry. The infantry had already lined up in the barracks. He walked straight to the secret room and pressed his right hand on the door, activating the class change. System notice. Congratulations to player not said without clothes for unlocking the military camp class change secret room. Intermediate barracks will allow you to change a farmer to a level 1 militia. The class change fee is 10 silver. You can also change a level 10 militia to a level 1 soldier. The average class change fee is 1 gold. Please select the class change method. Class change to a level 1 soldier. System notification. Class change method confirmed. Please select the number of people you want to change. 100 people. System notification. Please select the direction of your class change. You can choose infantry, marine, or cavalry. Infantry class change fee is 50 silver, marine class change fee is 100 silver, and cavalry class change fee is 150 silver. Choose Infantry. System notification. Class advancement confirmed, deducting 50 gold coins from player not say naked. Ouyang Shua took a look at the stats of the infantry after the 100 soldiers were done. Name: Iron Egg Identity. Infantry's first fire soldier profession. Infantry level. Level 1 new combat power. 12 points consumption. 2 units of rations/day skills. Basic/equipment. Ordinary ring sword, ordinary leather armor, ordinary wooden shield evaluation. This is the most basic infantry type. In order to fully utilize the advantages of infantry, you'll need better equipment other than strict training. In Earth on 1E, infantry could be divided into sword and shield soldiers, spear throwers, longbow soldiers, shortbow soldiers, and so on. There were also light infantry and heavy infantry. The default class change was to be a normal sword and shield soldier. Compared to cavalry, infantry's stats were clearly weaker, and so the class change fee was only a third of cavalry's. Infantry's combat strength was 3 points lower than cavalry, mainly due to the difference in equipment. After paying the class change fee, Ouyang Shua only had 80 gold left in his pocket. He was once again facing a financial crisis. It seemed like it was time for these soldiers to come out and loot the place, earning some extra income for the territory. He called Shi Wansui, Lin Yi, and a few squad leaders to the meeting room and got straight to the point. Generals, the new year is over, and it's time for some exercise. This time, the territory's area had increased by an entire 100 square kilometers. There would definitely be new bandit camps appearing. I have only one request, and that is to find and destroy them. I'm not afraid to tell you that the territory's funds are tight right now. Whether or not we can solve this urgent problem will depend on your performance. All the generals were fired up by Ouyang Shua's words, especially the two brave generals, Zhang Denyo and Zhao Sihu. On New Year's Eve, they both broke through to rank 8 elite soldiers and were only one step away from rank 9 elite soldiers. The competition for the position of infantry platoon leader had already entered a white-hot stage. What they desired the most now was a head-on battle, and they hoped to use it to break through their bottlenecks and advance. Zhang Daniu and Zhao Sihu stepped forward almost at the same time and said in a loud voice, "Sir, you can rest assured and leave the mission of annihilating the roving bandits to us. We guarantee to complete the mission." Ouyang Shua nodded and said, "Good, the morale is high. From now on, spread out a net within the territory and conduct a carpet search. Find the location of the roving bandits first. After you've figured out the situation, don't act rashly and report to me immediately. This time, I will personally accompany you to battle." "Yes." All the soldiers replied in unison. After walking out of the military camp, they passed by the commercial street again. All the major shops had already reopened. After all, the game was different from reality. There was no such thing as a spring festival holiday. The streets were bustling with people coming and going. Ouyang had just stepped into the Lord's mansion when the director of supplies, Du Xiaolan, came to his office and said respectfully, "Sir, this subordinate has something to report." Du Xiaolan was fined 3 months of salary by Ouyang Shua during the last evaluation, so she was especially careful when she had an audience with him this time. Ouyang Shua didn't have the energy to pay attention to the little thoughts of his subordinate. He asked directly, "What is it?" "Reporting to Sir. This subordinate has taken stock of the grain reserves in the granary today. There are less than 2,000 units left. The granary is in a state of emergency. Please take care of it as soon as possible," Du Xiaolan said carefully. Ouyang Shua patted his head. He had been so busy these few days that he had forgotten about buying grain. If it wasn't for the fact that he had seized tens of thousands of units of grain from the roving bandits, the territory would have been in a state of emergency. "Don't worry. Arrange for people to follow me to the market to buy grain." Ouyang Shua left the Lord's mansion again helplessly. He went to the middle-grade market and opened the material exchange platform. He spent 50 gold coins to buy 50,000 units of grain in one go. As the territory's population increased, this batch of grain wouldn't last long. When the territory was upgraded to a second-grade town, he would have to buy more. Starting from the towns, the food shortage would slowly become apparent. If there wasn't enough money to support it, then it would be a famine. It was already 6 o'clock in the evening when he finished dealing with the grain. Ouyang Shua didn't even have time to look at the 2 Nian beasts that were still in the stable before he went offline again. It was already the second day of the Lunar New Year in reality. Ouyang Shua didn't visit his relatives or friends, nor did he wander around aimlessly. He was tired enough after walking around the temple fair for a whole day yesterday. It was better to take a break today. Hence, he stayed at home and watched cartoons with Bing, and Shui, for the whole day. The next morning, the newly appointed head of the Census Bureau, Zhou Haichen, walked into the mayor's office for the first time. Ouyang Shua smiled and invited him to sit down. He said warmly, "How is it? How's the work in the Census Bureau?" "Thank you for your trust, sir. Everything is going smoothly," Zhou Haichen said respectfully. "That's good. Are there any outstanding talents here today?" Zhou Haichen nodded and said with a smile, "Yes. Among the refugees that spawned today, there's a Jinsher called Su Shuda. He used to be a teacher. I feel that this person is extraordinary, so I came to report to you, sir." "Jinsher? He's indeed a rare talent. You've done well. How about this, go and invite Mr. Sven here. Bring Su Shuda here as well. Tell him that there's something important to discuss," Ouyang Shua instructed. Yes. Although Zhou Haichen was a little puzzled, he resisted the urge to ask and went out to summon Su Shuda. In less than 5 minutes, Fan Zhongyan, Zhou Haichen, and Su Shuda walked into the office. The one walking at the back should be Su Shuda. Ouyang Shua took the opportunity to check his attribute. Name, Su Shuda, Gold, Identity, Resident of Shanghai Town. Occupation, Civil Official. Jinsher, Loyalty, 75. Commander, a 20. Martial Power, 18. Intelligence, 45. Politics, 60. Specialty, Scholarship, increases the learning progress of territorial residents by 15%, Enlightenment, increases the quality of territorial residents by 10%, Evaluation, a Jinsher, good at scholarship. He's rigorous, knowledgeable, and has good conduct. Ouyang Shua was even more satisfied after looking at Su Shuda's attributes. This was a typical educational talent. His 2 specialties, scholarship and enlightenment, were very practical. He was even more confident about the next arrangement. After exchanging greetings, Ouyang Shua went straight to the point. With the increase in the territory's population, the private school, ancestral hall, Mazu Temple, Lianzhou Academy, and other facilities have been continuously improved. The territory's culture and education have shown a trend of flourishing. Previously, I had the idea of setting up a special department to manage the territory's culture and education. However, because I couldn't find a suitable candidate for the position, it was put on hold. Today, I've met Mr. Shuda, and I've found the right place. Therefore, I've decided to set up a Department of Culture and Education under the Administrative Office. Su Shuda will be the director of the Department of Culture and Education. Su Shuda didn't expect to be put in an important position as soon as he came to Shanghai Town. He said excitedly, "Thank you for your promotion, sir. I will not let you down." System notification. Congratulations to player Su Shuda for being put in an important position. Loyalty increased by 5 points. Fan Zhongyan nodded in agreement. Congratulations, my lord. You've gained another talented person. I'd like to take this opportunity to boldly request to resign from the position of Lianzhou Academy's dean. I hope my lord will agree. Oh? Why is that? Is there anything I've done wrong? Please point it out, Ouyang Shua said, puzzled. No. That's not it. Education is related to the territory's future, so it needs someone to take care of it. The administrative affairs of the administrative office have already taken up most of my energy. I really can't take care of Lianzhou Academy. Therefore, I sincerely want to resign from my position as dean. I suggest that Shuda take up the position of dean of Lianzhou Academy, Fan Zhongyan hurriedly explained. Ouyang Shua felt relieved. He looked at Su Shuda and said, "Good. If that's the case, then I'll give you more responsibilities. Take up the position of Dean of Lianzhou Academy. I hope you can work with the Academy professor, Mr. Su Zhe, to improve the Academy's educational system and start to cultivate a mature teaching team. Take Lianzhou Academy out of its current predicament of opening temporary classes as soon as possible. It should become more standardized and truly become the cradle of the territory's civil officials." Su Shuda nodded solemnly. He felt deeply responsible and said, "Thank you for your trust, sir. I'll do my best to live up to your kindness." To be honest, the establishment of the Department of Culture and Education had further expanded the authority of the administrative office. The current administrative office consisted of the Department of Examinations, the Department of Household Registration, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Construction, and the Department of Culture and Education. They almost covered the core functions of the ancient 6 departments, except for the Ministry of War. The balance of power between the 3 departments had been quietly broken. In fact, this was also the result of Ouyang Shua's intentional guidance. He didn't want to follow the ancient system of 3 provinces and 6 departments in the territory's political structure in the future. Since there was a more reasonable administrative structure in modern society as a reference, it would be stupid and unwise to mechanically copy the ancient administrative structure. Chapter 68. After dealing with the affairs of the Department of Culture and Education, Ouyang Shua was finally free. He stood up and left the mansion, preparing to go to the stable to check on the pair of Nian beasts. Along the way, he was thinking about how to settle the Nian beast. Locking it up in the stables was clearly out of the question. It was too degrading and completely unbefitting of the image and status of the guardian beast of the territory. Ever since Nian became a guardian beast, it had kept its sharpness in check and was no longer as ferocious and terrifying. Instead, it had a trace of an auspicious beast's aura, and the Qilin bloodline within its body had been stimulated. When it saw Ouyang Shua, the male Nian squeaked intimately as a form of greeting. Black Whirlwind, on the other hand, was not as comfortable. It hid in a corner, trembling with fear. When it saw its master, it revealed a very human-like look of grievance. It was clear that it was quite frightened by the Nian beast's might. Ouyang Shua stroked the Nian's horn and said with a smile, "A dragon swimming in shallow waters is not a long-term solution. Don't worry, I'll find a place for you today. You won't be wronged." He then walked to Black Whirlwind's side and patted its head, comforting his mount. After returning from the stable, Ouyang Shua went to look for Zhao Duong from the construction division to discuss the matter of building a special habitat for Nian. "Director General Zhao, where do you think is the most suitable place to build Nian's habitat?" Zhao Duong was not in a hurry to give an answer. Instead, he asked, "Sir, do you have any specific requirements for the habitat of the Nian beast?" Let me think. First of all, they had to have a wide field of vision and a spacious space. They couldn't be nested in an enclosed pen. It was best to let them roam in the open. Secondly, the place had to be hidden, quiet, and not easily disturbed. Finally, the security measures must be in place. "It can't be too far from the town," Ouyang Shua said after thinking for a moment. Zhao Duong nodded and said with a smile, "According to Sir's request, this subordinate has thought of a place that should satisfy Sir." "Where?" "Behind the Lord's mansion, there is a small hill. There are only some short shrubs on the hill. The view is wide and the place is hidden. It's close to the Lord's mansion, so safety is guaranteed," Zhao Duong said confidently. Ouyang Shua nodded in satisfaction and said, "Not bad, then it's settled. Once you come down, arrange for people to surround the entire mountain and use it as a habitat for Nian. It would be best if we can raise some wild rabbits and other small animals in the mountains for Nian to eat. Understood, this subordinate will do it immediately. Such a small matter, of course, was not difficult for him. In the afternoon, the director of agriculture, Zhao Dexian, came to Ouyang Shua's office to report on his work. The spring festival had passed, and spring was just around the corner. As the saying goes, spring is the start of the year. Should the Department of Agriculture continue to expand the scale of farmland cultivation in preparation for planting rice before the Qingming festival? With the current scale of 2,000 mu, it's not enough. Ouyang Shua shook his head and said, "The farmland will naturally continue to be cultivated, but not in Shanghai town. This subordinate doesn't understand. Please enlighten me. As the headquarters, Shanghai town will focus on developing handicrafts and industry in the future. Agriculture will only play a supporting role. Therefore, at this stage, it was not suitable to open up a large area of farmland in the core area of the territory and occupy urban land. Otherwise, with the expansion of the city in the future, we will have to reoccupy the farmland, and the gains won't make up for the losses." Ouyang Shua explained with a smile. "That's right. But if there wasn't enough farmland, how could they guarantee the territory's food production? Purchasing from the market is not a long-term solution." Zhao Dexian still did not understand. That's where the subsidiary territories come into play. When the territory is upgraded to a second-grade town, another subsidiary village can be built. This second subsidiary village will be the future agricultural center of the territory. After the subsidiary village is built, it will be in time to open up the farmland on a large scale. Ouyang Shua had already considered the whole situation and spoke unhurriedly. Zhao Dexian came to a sudden realization and respectfully said, "This subordinate admires Lord's thorough consideration. It's good that you know what to do. The reason why we didn't increase the number of farmers during this period and arranged for them to work on the city wall and moat is also because of this consideration. When the city wall and moat are completed, all the workers can be converted to farmers and moved to the new subsidiary village. The recent arrangements for the refugees had been approved by the Department of Household Registration. On the surface, it seemed a little unfair to the Department of Agriculture. Ouyang Shua took this opportunity to explain to this trusted general so that he wouldn't have a knot in his heart. When they talked about the subsidiary village, Ouyang Shua simply changed the topic and said with a smile, "If, and I'm saying if, I arrange for you to build a second subsidiary village in the territory in the future, would you be willing?" Zhao Dexian's heart trembled and his heart skipped a beat. It was reasonable to say that between the Department of Agriculture and the village head of the subsidiary village, one was in charge of the overall situation and the other was in charge of the local government. It was hard to say which position was more important. But for someone like Zhao Dexian, who had once been a village head, being able to be in charge of the local government was obviously more attractive. Needless to say, the concept of a subsidiary village was completely different from the previous Zhao family village. It could be continuously upgraded, and becoming a town was only a matter of time. Its status and importance could not be mentioned in the same breath as the Zhao family village. He tried hard to suppress the excitement in his heart and pretended to be calm and said, "This subordinate will follow Lord's arrangements. It's okay, I'm not too hot-headed." Ouyang Shua nodded and said, "All right, this is also a preliminary intention. It's fine as long as you know what to do. As for the Department of Agriculture, you need to constantly give Deputy Director Sun Yanong more responsibilities. If they really arrange for you to go, he needs to be able to handle it." Zhao Dexian nodded. Listening to the meaning behind Lord's words, he already understood that the matter of him being arranged to build a second subsidiary village was probably not far off. It seemed that during this period of time, he had to properly teach this young fellow, Sun Yanong, and not let him drop the ball at the crucial moment. The real world, the 4th day of the 1st month. After eating breakfast, Ouyang Shua changed into a set of less casual clothes and seriously groomed himself. His beard was shaved clean, and his nails were neatly trimmed. He looked much more spirited. Binger pouted and sat in the living room sulkily. The little lass was very sad that her bad brother did not bring her to the gathering this time. Shue stopped on her little master's shoulder and used her head as a swing, swinging back and forth. She did not understand her little master's feelings at all. Ouyang Shua came out of the washroom and saw that Binger was still pouting. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. He walked to her side and sat down, hugging the little lass to sit on his lap. He coaxed, "Darling, Big Brother is going to a class gathering this time. It's not convenient to bring you along. When we get there, all you'll see are big friends, and there won't be any children to play with you. It'll be so boring. Big Brother promises you that I'll come back early to accompany you, okay?" The little lass nodded reluctantly and said aggrievedly, "Pinky promise. Big Brother must come back early." "Okay, Pinky promise." Ouyang Shua patted her little head, got up, and left. Seeing that Ouyang Shua had left, Binger moved Shue from her shoulder to her palm. "Shue, you're the only one accompanying Binger now." Shue squinted her eyes and smiled. She said in a childish voice, "Swing, swing." When Ouyang Shua rushed to Guifang Garden, he saw a banner hanging at the entrance of the hotel that read Jiaozhou No. 1 Middle School Reunion 2180. It seemed that class monitor Ruan Ping had prepared a big scene this time. Ouyang Shua walked into the hotel. There was a sign-in area in the lobby, and the hotel staff were responsible for signing in. They even prepared a souvenir for everyone. When he opened it, he saw a commemorative t-shirt and the latest Apple smartwatch. He had to admit that Ruan Ping was a real tycoon. There were a total of 35 people in the class. Just the smartwatch alone would cost more than 200,000 credit. Ouyang Shua didn't stand on ceremony. He directly wore the smartwatch on his left hand and wore the t-shirt over his clothes. Then, under the guidance of the hotel staff, he walked towards the gathering hall. When he walked into the hall, most of the students had already arrived. Ruan Ping stood at the entrance to welcome him. When he saw Ouyang Shua, he immediately smiled and went forward to shake his hand. "Ouyang Shua? You're Ouyang Shua, right? I haven't seen you for so many years, but you're still so handsome. Even I'm jealous." Ouyang Shua faintly smiled. "Compared to a tycoon like you, I'm nothing." He waved his left hand and said with a smile, "Thank you." Ruan Ping's eyes lit up. The confidence and bearing that Ouyang Shua displayed made him extremely surprised. To be honest, the purpose of a post-graduation reunion, especially one where everyone had already entered society, was no longer simple. It was no longer warm and affectionate. Instead, it was filled with worldly wisdom and the stench of money. Take this simple souvenir as an example. There were those who felt inferior and wanted nothing more than to hide the watch in their stomachs, afraid that it would be seen by others. There were those who were jealous and unceremoniously accepted it while speaking some jealous and sarcastic words behind Ouyang Shua's back. So far, only Ouyang Shua could confidently wear it on the spot and express his thanks in front of Ruan Ping. Ruan Ping could naturally feel that Ouyang Shua wasn't flattering or mocking him. Instead, he was calm. This meant that Ouyang Shua had the confidence to calmly accept the gift prepared by his old classmate. Ruan Ping smiled from the bottom of his heart and personally led Ouyang Shua into the main hall. "Come, I'll introduce you to your old classmates. I don't think you'll necessarily recognize many of them." Ouyang Shua faintly smiled and followed Ruan Ping into the hall. He wasn't the least bit surprised by Ruan Ping's surprise. After experiencing the transformation of his rebirth, coupled with nearly 2 months of experience as a lord, he was no longer the same as before. His entire temperament was less immature and more indifferent, as well as a trace of the dignity of a person in a superior position. Chapter 69. The students in the hall were surprised to see Ruan Ping so enthusiastically ushering Ouyang Shua into the hall. Besides Ouyang Shua, only the class belle, Song Jia, received this kind of treatment. There were a total of 4 tables in the hall. Ruan Ping led Ouyang Shua to the first table and said with a smile, "Come, come. Our handsome Ouyang Shua, do you all know him?" Besides the class belle, Song Jia, there were also Tan Xiaoli and Meng Feifei, whom Ouyang Shua had met when he was shopping for New Year's goods. They greeted Ouyang Shua with a smile. After Ruan Ping left, Ouyang Shua didn't stand on ceremony. He smiled and chatted with his old classmates. There was no lack of jealous people in this world. Zhao Qinglin, who was also sitting at the first table, was one of them. Zhao Qinglin's family was considered well off. After graduation, with the help of his parents, he worked as the assistant manager of the most famous real estate company in Jiaozhou, Bingfeng Group. Among his middle school classmates, he was considered a successful person. Zhao Qinglin was undoubtedly envious of Ruan Ping's family background. This time, he specially came to the class gathering with the intention of making friends. Unexpectedly, Ruan Ping only politely arranged for him to sit at the first table and didn't pay attention to him anymore. On the contrary, he was very enthusiastic towards Ouyang Shua. Naturally, he was jealous. He said to Ouyang Shua in a strange tone, "Hey, old classmate, you're quite impatient. You put on the watch that young Master Ruan gave you so quickly. Usually, you can't bear to buy such a luxurious electronic product, right?" After Zhao Qinglin said this, the whole table was silent. There were 2 students who used to be top students, but now they were just average students. They were so ashamed that they wanted to bury the watches in their pockets into the ground. Ouyang Shua smiled mockingly. There were really people who didn't know what was good for them. He wasn't the nice guy from middle school who couldn't stand such provocation. "I really can't bear to. I heard that classmate Zhao Qinglin's family is well off. Why not take this opportunity to follow Ruan Ping's example and give each student a smartphone? Good things come in pairs. Isn't that perfect?" The students at the table immediately roared with laughter. There was no longer any awkwardness from before. They all looked at Zhao Qinglin mockingly, wanting to see how he would answer. "You!" Zhao Qinglin never imagined that Ouyang Shua would be so shameless. Not only did Ouyang Shua expose his own shortcomings, he even turned the tables on him. His family was well off, but that was only relative to his classmate. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed over to curry favor with Ruan Ping. It was impossible for him to take out more than 200,000 credits to prepare a gift. Ouyang Shua didn't have the mood to pay attention to Zhao Qinglin's face. He picked up his teacup and leisurely drank his tea. Tan Xiaoli, who was sitting on his right, came over and gave him a thumbs up. She exclaimed, "Amazing! Was this still the silent bookworm from before? If it weren't for the fact that I already have a boyfriend, I would have chased after you." Poochie. Ouyang Shua choked on a mouthful of tea. Were girls nowadays so open? They were so unbridled when chatting. They didn't have the slightest bit of restraint that a girl should have. What kind of expression is that? What? Is it that I'm not worthy of you? Although you're a little handsome, I also want a good figure and a good appearance. Seeing Ouyang Shua's expression, Tan Xiaoli was very hurt and said shrewdly. Ouyang Shua immediately raised his hands in surrender. "Classmate Tan, Beauty Tan, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please let me off this time. Humph, at least you know what's good for you." Tan Xiaoli rolled her eyes and moved closer to him again. She slyly said, "Hey, you still don't have a girlfriend, right? How about I introduce my Feifei to you?" Ouyang Shua hadn't said anything yet, but Meng Feifei, who was sitting at the side, was already unhappy. She blushed and hit Tan Xiaoli. She coquettishly said, "Tan Xiaoli, see if I don't tear your mouth apart." Looking at the 2 ladies beside him playing together, Ouyang Shua smiled bitterly and shook his head. His gaze inadvertently swept across Song Jia, who was sitting opposite him. He was slightly startled and nodded with a smile as a greeting. Song Jia was the same as Ruan Ping. They were both from aristocratic families. The Song family financial group was also one of the best in Lingnan. In addition, Song Jia herself was extremely beautiful and had an extraordinary temperament, making it difficult for people to approach her. Ruan Ping had been pursuing her since junior high school. Unfortunately, the falling flower longed for the love, but the heartless brook. Today's class reunion was not about bonding. It was more about a trap set up by Ruan Ping, a trap to launch a love attack on Song Jia. Ouyang Shuo somewhat admired Ruan Ping's tenacity. He had diligently pursued her for nearly 10 years and hadn't given up until now. Song Jia was wearing a white beaded high-waist dress, which made her look even more like a goddess. Seeing Ouyang Shuo greet her, she playfully raised the teacup in her hand. Ouyang Shuo shook his head in amusement. He also raised the teacup in his hand and gave a toast. It seemed that they had a tacit understanding. This scene was seen by Zhao Qinglin, who was at the side. He was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Didn't he see that his goddess didn't even look at him? His hatred for Ouyang Shuo grew even stronger. Before long, all the classmates had arrived and the reunion officially began. Ruan Ping returned to the first table and sat in the middle. Song Jia and Ouyang Shuo sat on his left and right respectively. A class reunion naturally couldn't avoid drinking together. Those who were familiar with each other and those who weren't familiar with each other could quickly drink together. Recalling that period of youth in junior high together, it really had a feeling of old friends reuniting. Riding on the coattails of Ruan Ping, there were really many people who came to drink with Ouyang Shuo. Some were sincere and some were malicious. Ouyang Shuo wasn't afraid of any of them. When it came to alcohol tolerance, he really wasn't afraid of anyone. Of course, the most glorious one was still Ruan Ping. There was an endless stream of people looking for him to drink. At this moment, he didn't know which table had pulled him over to compete in drinking. "Old classmate, let's drink together." A sweet-sounding female voice sounded in his ear. Turning his head to look, it turned out to be Song Jia who was sitting beside him. She raised the red wine cup in her hand to him. Ouyang Shuo nodded and poured himself a cup of red wine. He said with a smile, "Okay, a toast to our goddess." As he spoke, he drank the red wine in the cup in one gulp. Unexpectedly, Song Jia also gulped it down in a single gulp. Her exquisite face instantly flushed red. Ouyang Shuo remembered that when Ruan Ping toasted her just now, she only took a small sip symbolically. He couldn't think of any aspect of him that could gain Song Jia's favor. To be honest, during junior high, the two of them didn't have much interaction. One was born in a wealthy family and had a cold temperament. She was like an ice lotus on a snowy mountain, unreachable. The other was born in a mediocre family and had a heart higher than the sky. She was silent like an orchid in an empty valley. He couldn't figure it out, but Ouyang Shuo didn't care. He took the opportunity to chat with Song Jia. After experiencing Fan Zhongyan's baptism, Ouyang Shuo's conversational style had improved a lot. The two of them chatted congenially. At this time, Ruan Ping came back, followed by Zhao Qinglin. Seeing Ouyang Shuo and Song Jia chatting so congenially, he said with a smile, "After I left, the two of you chatted quite congenially." Ouyang Shuo didn't know if there was a hidden meaning in Ruan Ping's words, but there was no need to try to figure it out. Everything in reality was just fleeting clouds to him. He said with a smile, "Big celebrity, why don't you sit down and have some food?" Ouyang Shuo wanted to lightly brush it off, but someone wasn't willing. Zhao Qinglin was like a clown. He jumped out from behind Ruan Ping and said mockingly, "In my opinion, some people are toads lusting after swan meat." It was as if he was Ruan Ping's lackey, cheering for his master. Ouyang Shuo's face sank. He wanted to teach Zhao Qinglin a lesson and let him gain some knowledge. However, he never thought that Song Jia would be one step ahead of him. She choked. Some people are willing to be lowly, and I don't care. Ouyang Shua is my friend. If anyone dares to be disrespectful to him, I won't let them off lightly. Zhao Qinglin's expression turned sluggish when he was directly insulted by Song Jia. He walked back to his seat with a face full of shame. His arrogance was completely gone, and his eyes were staring at Ouyang Shua with a vicious gaze. Originally, Ruan Ping didn't think too much about it. But after being messed around like this, his expression became somewhat gloomy. Fortunately, as the young master of a wealthy family, he still had the necessary subtlety. He smiled and mediated, "We're all classmates, so there's no need to be like this. Come. Let's drink together." Ouyang Shua calmly raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp. After that, although Ruan Ping tried his best to mediate, the atmosphere was still somewhat gloomy and awkward. A good gathering had become incongruous. It had to be said that Ruan Ping was also an expert at adapting to circumstances. He took advantage of the situation to end the gathering early. He loudly announced, "Fellow students, I've already booked a luxurious private room at the KTV on the 3rd floor of the hotel. Everyone, let's go and sing together." Everyone applauded. Being able to roar a few songs while they were drunk was naturally extremely good. Ouyang Shua didn't think that there would be such an arrangement. He didn't forget that his precious Bing was still waiting for him at home. In any case, the purpose of this gathering had already been achieved. Those who should and shouldn't have met had already been seen, and those who should be cherished had already been cherished. The passing of youth was ultimately like the spring breeze, gone once it was, never to return. "Ruan Ping, I won't be going to sing. There are people waiting at home. You guys have fun," Ouyang Shua said to the host of the event, Ruan Ping, with a smile. Ruan Ping couldn't wait for him to leave so that Song Jiao wouldn't be entangled with him. He pretended to be regretful and said, "Sai, I originally wanted to sing a song with you. But for the sake of my family, I don't dare to keep you. Be careful on the road." Ouyang Shua lightly nodded his head. After saying goodbye to a few familiar classmates, he turned around and walked out of the hall. He didn't care that Tan Xiaoli, who was at the side, said that he wasn't good enough for leaving early. Chapter 70. Ouyang Shua left Gui Fangyuan Hotel and walked to the side of the road, ready to hail a taxi. Suddenly, a red Ferrari screeched to a stop in front of him. He looked up and saw Song Jia. The beauty opened her red lips and said with a smile, "Where are you going? I'll give you a ride." Ouyang Shua really couldn't understand the girl in front of him. If it was just a vague impression at the table, then he was sure now that Song Jia really treated him differently. But why? When he was in junior high school, he was just an unremarkable bookworm. What was it about him that made this dazzling pearl favor him? Seeing his hesitation, Song Jia teased, "What? You don't dare to come up? Are you afraid that I'll rape you?" This was intolerable. Ouyang Shua didn't say anything further as he opened the car door and sat in the front passenger seat. "Ha, what am I afraid of? If you want to rape me, it's me." Song Jia laughed and didn't ask for his address. She directly started the car and merged into the traffic. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became a little awkward. The two people who hadn't seen each other for 5 or 6 years in the same narrow space didn't know what to say for a while. Ouyang Shua turned his head and seriously looked at Song Jia. His eyes were full of curiosity and doubt. Being stared at by Ouyang Shua so shamelessly, even a generous girl like Song Jia couldn't bear it. She blushed and mumbled, "What are you looking at, you little pervert?" "Looking at a beauty. Do you want to come together?" Ouyang Shua continued shamelessly. He didn't believe that he couldn't make this little girl show her true colors. Song Jia ignored Ouyang Shua's teasing and suddenly said, "You've changed a lot. More handsome. Pfft, you're so full of yourself. I haven't seen you for so many years. You haven't grown, but your face has become thicker. I remember you weren't like this before." Song Jia covered her mouth and chuckled. I used to be like this? I don't even remember. Ouyang Shua curiously asked. You let me think. In junior high school, in my impression, you were a little handsome and very quiet cute boy. You were a little cool and didn't like to talk to people. Please, can you not use the word cute to describe a boy? In the face of the beauty's praise, Ouyang Shua felt a little sweet in his heart, but he couldn't back down verbally. Haha, at that time, you were only 13 or 14 years old. In my mind, you were cute. Alright, I lost to you. Honestly speaking, you paid so much attention to me at that time. Could it be that you secretly had a crush on me? Ouyang Shua joked. Yeah, I had a crush on you back then. Huh. Ouyang Shua's eyes widened, and he was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth. Don't joke around. At that time, you were the little princess of the entire school, proud like a little peacock. The boys chasing after you can circle around the sports field twice. Why would you need to have a crush on an inconspicuous little boy? Song Jia smiled. A princess will also look forward to her Prince Charming. Those who chased me, eyes full of hate, so annoying. Only you, your eyes are especially clear, causing me to be infatuated and hopelessly in love with you. Do you remember that year's Valentine's Day? You received chocolate? It's a gift from me. Ha, I was wondering which girl gave it to me. She didn't even leave her name. Unfortunately, I was too reserved at that time. Until graduation, I didn't have the courage to confess. You can still make it up now. I don't mind. Ouyang Shua knew that the first love of his youth may seem beautiful, but it can't withstand the baptism of time. After such a long time, all that was left was that sweet memory. Because of this, he dared to joke around without restraint. You're so full of yourself. I don't like a glib-tongued pervert. Song Jia giggled. Ouyang Shua exaggeratedly covered his heart with both hands, imitating Stephen Chow's tone, and pretended to be sad. Once there was a sincere love placed in front of me, but I didn't cherish it. When I lost it, it was too late for regrets. This is the most painful thing in the world. Song Jia cooperated with him, and said affectionately, If God could give you another chance, what would you say to that girl? Ouyang Shua turned his head and looked into Song Jia's eyes. He pretended to be affectionate and said, If God could give me another chance, I would say to that girl, I love you. If I have to add a time limit to this love, I hope it's 10,000 years. Being looked at by Ouyang Shua so affectionately, Song Jia suddenly blushed. She turned her head away unnaturally. Her heart was thumping wildly. Although she knew that it was just Ouyang Shua's prank, when she heard the words, I love you, coming out of this boy's mouth, she still couldn't help but feel her heart palpitate. Otherwise, why would people say that first love is sweet? Even after so many years, this sweetness was still as warm as before. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became ambiguous. Even Ouyang Shua himself was caught unprepared. When he said those 3 words, for some reason, his heart skipped half a beat. He was sure that it was the feeling of being moved. Ahem, if it's convenient, send me to the White Cloud District's Tianyuan district. I live there. Ouyang Shua shook his head, threw this feeling out of his mind, and changed the topic. Oh, okay. Song Jia turned the steering wheel and handed her phone to Ouyang Shua. What are you doing? Saving your phone number. You're really a blockhead. The beauty coquettishly said. Oh, okay. Ouyang Shua took the phone. When he accidentally touched Song Jia's white and tender fingers, it was like he got an electric shock. He quickly took back his phone. After clumsily saving his number, he returned the phone to Song Jia. Their fingers inevitably touched each other again. This time, it seemed very natural. In less than half an hour, the sports car had already stopped at the entrance of the Tianyuan district. For the first time, Ouyang Shua hated this damn sports car. Why did it run so fast? I'm here. And don't you want to invite me to sit? Huh? Forget it. What? Keeping a mistress in your house? How could it be? Ha ha ha. I'm just teasing you. Call me bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wait, this is not right. I was just being teased. Shouldn't this conversation be the other way around? Looking at the sports car going far away, Ouyang Shua's heart suddenly surged, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. When he got home, Binger happily ran over and brought him slippers. Ouyang Shua said with a smile, "Darling, have you been good at home today?" "And Binger is very good." "That's good. Come, let me give you a reward." Ouyang Shua took off the iWatch on his wrist and put it on Binger's wrist. In his eyes, this smart watch was only suitable for Binger to play with. At 9 o'clock in the evening, after Ouyang Shua put Binger to sleep, he returned to his room and logged into the game. After going online, he first practiced the major spear for an hour as usual. After that, he practiced the 8 extremities fist that he had just learned. Right now, everything in Shanghai town was in order, and there were not many things that he needed to worry about. Taking advantage of this rare leisure time, he began to spend more time practicing martial arts. Ever since the game started, he had been holed up in his territory, taking care of the affairs of the territory, and acting like a civil official. In fact, he was still a martial artist at heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen the profession of a general in his previous life. Which man wouldn't be hot-blooded and didn't want to fight on the battlefield? Even if he died on the battlefield, he would have no regret. With his current strength, he couldn't even compare to a beginner general like Lin Yi. It really didn't match his status as the commander of the army. Therefore, he wanted to make use of this period of time to properly cultivate. In the afternoon, Ouyang Shua went to the back of the mountain to see the 2 Nian beasts that had settled there. According to legend, the Nian beasts lived at the bottom of the sea all year round, and only crawled up to the shore on New Year's Eve. He didn't know whether the legend was true or not, but it was true that the Nian beasts liked to eat sea fish. Because of this, the supply department had to prepare 50 units of fresh sea fish for the 2 Nian beasts every day. Fortunately, Shanghai town was built by the sea, or else he wouldn't know how to satisfy these 2 gluttons. After returning from the back of the mountain, Ouyang Shua rode on Black Whirlwind and headed out of the town with his bow and arrows. The wintertime wilderness was still a desolate scene. The wild grass was yellow and the field of vision was wide open. Ouyang Shua urged his horse forward and his heart was at ease. He was the only person in the world. While riding on the horse, Song Jia's figure suddenly appeared in Ouyang Shua's mind. When the beautiful woman looked back and smiled, it was impossible for him not to be moved. For some reason, Sun Xiaoya's figure suddenly joined in, and it made his heart flutter. Since when did this lass leave an image in his heart? What a mess! If there was another person present, it would be obvious at a glance that Ouyang Shua's spring had arrived. In the 5 years of his previous life, because of Bing he didn't have a proper relationship. It wasn't that there weren't girls who pursued him, but he rejected them all. How could a homeless person have the qualifications to talk about love? In this life, Shanghai town was developing smoothly, and the pressure of survival was immediately lifted. Unexpectedly, a few beauties entered his life, and it made the calm lake in his heart ripple. He didn't remember if he had a similar conversation with Song Jia at the class reunion in his previous life. At that time, he was just a tired person who was running around for a living. Even if he met Song Jia, he probably wouldn't have the confidence to talk and laugh with her. He only remembered that after that class reunion, he didn't contact any of his classmates again, including Song Jia. The past events came rushing back to his mind. This didn't diminish his fighting spirit. He wasn't a sentimental person. Different experiences were constantly reminding him that he couldn't slack off in the slightest when it came to his ambition to become the emperor. The world was what he wanted, and so were the beauties. Chapter 71. Gaia 1, February 24th, 5th day of the first month of the lunar calendar. The moment Ouyang Shua got online, he heard a system announcement. System announcement. Congratulations to player Di Chen for becoming the second leader of a level 1 town in China region. Achievement points awarded. 10,000. System announcement. Congratulations to player Di Chen for becoming the second leader of a level 1 town in China region. Achievement points awarded. 10,000. System announcement. Congratulations to player Di Chen for becoming the second leader of a level 1 town in China region. Achievement points awarded. 10,000. 10 days after Shanghai town was upgraded, China region finally had its second town. Di Chen once again proved his strength and defended his position as one of the 6 hegemons of Handan City. Even though the 6 hegemons of Handan City had become a thing of the past. Without the restriction of the territory index, Handan City would no longer have any obstacles in advancing to a level 2 town. If Di Chen was more aggressive, he could advance to a level 2 town before Shanghai town. Of course, Ouyang Shuo would not disrupt the advancement of Shanghai town just because of Di Chen. He continued to practice his great spear stance and 8 extremities fist. At 3 p.m., the head of the Military Intelligence Bureau, Buttface, walked into the Lord's mansion to report to Ouyang Shuo. Buttface said excitedly, "Sir, we have finally found the bandit camp." "Good. Where is it?" Ouyang Shuo asked anxiously. Sir, you would never have guessed. The bandit camp that appeared this time is actually a water camp. It was built on the banks of the Friendship River. It took us a long time to find it. Buttface had suffered a lot in order to find the bandit camp. The entire Military Intelligence Bureau was like a hunting dog. They had turned the entire territory upside down before they found it. Ouyang Shuo's eyes lit up. So, this is a group of water bandits. How big is it? According to my investigation, the entire water camp is about 1 square kilometer. As for the number of water bandits, I have already arranged for people to investigate. The detailed information will have to wait for another 2 days. Buttface said shamefully. Reporting incomplete information to the higher-ups was a taboo in intelligence work. Ouyang Shuo frowned. Without detailed information, he could not make a judgment. Just based on the huge area, this water bandits had at most 1,000 people. It was very likely to be a high-level camp. What puzzled him was why such a large group of pirates had never attacked Shanghai town. With their strength, they had a good chance of winning if they launched a surprise attack. The Military Intelligence Division has failed in their duties this time. When I first established the Military Intelligence Department, I said that the mission of the Military Intelligence Department was to investigate the source of danger in advance and take precautions. Such a huge water stronghold, and you guys didn't even notice it before. To be honest, I'm very disappointed, Ouyang Shuo said solemnly. This subordinate did not do his job well. Please punish me, Lord. He will definitely be punished, but not now. The number of pirates this time was unexpectedly large, and the threat to the territory was enormous. Therefore, it had to be removed as soon as possible. However, the North Sea Village's navy hasn't been fully formed yet. Fighting on the water is very disadvantageous to us. This is the time for the Military Intelligence Division to show off their skills. Thoroughly investigate the background of these pirates, and find out why they are biding their time. Otherwise, we'll be in the dark and can only resign ourselves to death. Of course, Ouyang Shuo knew what was important and what was not. This was the time for Buttface to take charge of the Military Intelligence Division. Buttface nodded heavily and said loudly, "Thank you, Lord, for giving me and the Military Intelligence Division a chance to redeem themselves. I promise that if we don't obtain satisfactory information, I will bring my head to see you. I'll wait for your good news. Go. Remember, you only have 3 days at most." The reason why Ouyang Shuo set a deadline of 3 days was because the Military Intelligence Division's investigation this time was very likely to have alerted the water bandit. If they were given enough time to prepare, it would be even more difficult to win. He could not take that risk. Yes. After Buttface left, Ouyang Shua summoned the 3 directors and announced that the territory would enter a state of first-level alert. During the day, production outside the town would be reduced as much as possible. At night, a curfew would be imposed. On the 26th of February, the information regarding the water bandits was reported to Ouyang Shua. The Military Intelligence Division's intelligence personnel took the risk to infiltrate the water bandits from the Friendship River and obtain first-hand information. The entire water bandits had a total of more than 900 people, of which 500 were combatants, just enough to form a battalion. Among the combatants, there were 400 ordinary water bandits of level 25 and 100 elite water bandits of level 30. The water bandits had a total of 3 chiefs: Chief Black Dragon, 2nd Chief Water Snake, and 3rd Chief Pei Donglai. Among the 3 chiefs, the most special was 3rd Chief Pei Donglai. It was said that this 3rd chief used to be a Navy general who was rescued by Black Dragon after he was in trouble and brought back to the water bandit. Because he trained his troops well, he was promoted to 3rd Chief of the water bandits. The reason why the water bandits had not attacked Shanghai town was also discovered. It turned out that they had been having internal strife during this period of time. 2nd Chief Water Snake was dissatisfied with Pei Donglai's rapid rise and felt that it had infringed on his interests. The elders of the allied water bandits used the reason that Pei Donglai had once been a soldier and requested 1st Chief Black Dragon to expel him from the water bandit. However, Pei Donglai was not without supporters. More than half of the ordinary water bandits were convinced by his training methods and stood firmly on Pei Donglai's side. Both sides were at loggerheads. Black Dragon tried many times to mediate, but to no avail. It looked like he could not suppress it any longer. Once the war began, how could he be in the mood to care about Shanghai town? After obtaining detailed information, Ouyang Shua was extremely excited. He promoted that intelligence officer to deputy director of the Military Intelligence Division on the spot and rewarded him with 5 gold coins. Ouyang Shua realized that the key to uprooting the water bandits rested on Pei Donglai. However, how to carry it out was another difficult problem. He was deeply aware that he needed a military advisor. Helpless, Ouyang Shua called Fan Zhongyan to his office to listen to his opinion. No matter what, Fan Zhongyan had led troops into battle before. After explaining the situation of the water bandits to Fan Zhongyan, Ouyang Shua asked, "What good plan does Sir have?" Fan Zhongyan pondered for a moment, then said, "Pei Donglai originally belonged to the Imperial Army and was innately incompatible with the water bandits. It was within expectations that things would develop to this point. Our Shanghai town is a legal territory recognized by the Imperial Court and is of the same origin as the Imperial Army. If I were Pei Donglai, I would definitely choose Shanghai town and abandon the water bandit. Thus, my lord can send someone to get in touch with Pei Donglai and express your intention to recruit him. If we can successfully instigate Pei Donglai to defect, then it will be a piece of cake to destroy the water bandit." Ouyang Shua shook his head. "I'm afraid it won't be that simple. The leader of the water bandits, Black Dragon, saved Pei Donglai's life. How could he betray the water bandits so easily? Judging from the recent infighting, the reason why Pei Donglai was able to persist and not be chased out of the water bandits is largely due to Black Dragon's support. Thus, it won't be easy to instigate Pei Donglai to defect, at least not in a short period of time." Fan Zhongyan smiled mysteriously and said confidently, "My lord's words make sense. However, what if our correspondence with Pei Donglai ends up in Black Dragon's hands? With Black Dragon's suspicious nature, he definitely won't trust Pei Donglai as much as he does now. That way, our goal will be achieved. Pei Donglai will only have a path of survival if he completely defers to Shanghai town." In truth, Ouyang Shua was tempted by Fan Zhongyan's suggestion for a moment. However, when he thought of his maritime hegemony, he still shook his head resolutely and said painfully, "Sir's plan is indeed brilliant. Unfortunately, if we proceed with this plan, Pei Donglai will definitely be at odds with Shanghai Town. This is the last thing I want to see. I'm sure Sir also knows the importance of a naval commander to Shanghai Town. Fan Zhongyan smiled in gratification. My lord is far-sighted and has the bearing of a king. Since that's the case, there's only one way to get the best of both worlds. What is it? Provoke the relationship between the water snake and black dragon. The water snake represents the older members of the water bandits and must be dissatisfied with black dragon's blindness in protecting the newcomer, Pei Donglai. If we can find an opportunity for the two sides to meet on the battlefield, then Shanghai Town can watch from the sidelines and reap the benefit. Ouyang Shuan nodded happily. Sir must have a good plan. Please ask me. My lord only needs to arrange for a capable spy to infiltrate the water bandits. Spread a rumor in the water bandits that the water snake is about to rebel and wants to replace Black Dragon. Once the rumor reaches Black Dragon's ears, with his suspicious nature and at this critical juncture, even if he feels that something is amiss, he will still choose to take the initiative to get rid of the water snake. Naturally, the water snake will not sit still and wait for death. He will definitely take advantage of the situation and rise up. A battle between the two sides is inevitable. Fan Zhongyan calmly analyzed. In addition, in order to ensure the success of this plan, we need to do two things. First, remove the state of martial law in Shanghai Town and remove the vigilance of the water bandits so that they can fight with peace of mind. Second, continue to contact Pei Donglai and express his intention to recruit him. This way, Pei Donglai may choose to protect himself in the civil war and further weaken Black Dragon's strength. This will balance the power of the water snake and Black Dragon. Fan Zhongyan's two additional measures, one internal and one external, work together seamlessly. Ouyang Shuo smiled and clapped his hands. Sir's plan is brilliant. With this plan, the destruction of the water bandits is just around the corner. Also, I have to trouble you with one more thing. I'll let you write the letter to recruit Pei Donglai. This subordinate will not shirk. After Fan Zhongyan left, Ouyang Shuo immediately summoned Buttface and the newly appointed Deputy Director General, Leng Qian. He told them about the plan they had just discussed and said solemnly, "This time, whether we can succeed in one fell swoop depends on the military intelligence department. The spy must be smart and reliable." Buttface and Ling Qian looked at each other and nodded. Ling Qian stood up and said, "This time, I will infiltrate the water bandits personally. I will not let you down." "If so, I am very happy." Ouyang Shuo nodded. Chapter 72. On the 27th of February, Leng Qian sneaked into the water bandits again with a letter to recruit Pei Donglai. Walking on the street of the water bandits, Leng Qian casually pulled a water bandit to a nearby alley and said mysteriously, "Hey, brother, have you heard?" The water bandit was confused. "Heard what? What? You don't know yet? My cousin's fourth aunt's nephew works for the second leader. He secretly told me that the second leader is going to do something big this time," Leng Qian said, pretending to be surprised. "Hey, brother, tell me, what is the second leader going to do?" Sure enough, gossip was human nature. Men, women, young and old, were all like this. "I'll tell you secretly. Don't tell anyone else. Otherwise, my cousin's fourth aunt's nephew will be in trouble." Leng Qian continued to tempt him. Only hard-earned news would be easier for people to accept. Okay. I promise I won't tell anyone. Brother, tell me quickly." Leng Qian deliberately looked around. Seeing that there was no one around, he lowered his voice and said, "Let me tell you, our second leader is not satisfied with the first leader protecting the third leader. This time, he wants to remonstrate. He wants to be the first leader himself." Really? How can the second leader be so bold? Hey, don't believe me. Our second leader is fearless and can do anything. Do you remember the attack on the army last year? Then it must be done by our second leader. Leng Qian had made ample preparations. Brother, you're right. Sai, in this case, we, the underlings, will have to suffer again. That's right. I think you're fated, so I told you secretly. As for us, we have to prepare early. Otherwise, we'll be used as scapegoats, Leng Qian said emotionally. Yes. Thank you for telling me. I promise I won't tell anyone. That's good. Remember, don't tell anyone. Leng Qian emphasized again. After Leng Qian left, the man who said he wouldn't tell anyone turned around and told the news to his second uncle's third son. After that, he vowed, remember, don't tell anyone. The third son of the second uncle turned around and told the second son of the Wang family next door. Just like that, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. In less than half a day, the news had spread throughout the entire village. People gathered in groups of 2s and 3s, whispering to each other mysteriously, not forgetting to say, remember, don't tell anyone. When Hei Long received the news, it was already 11 o'clock in the morning. It had been 2 hours since Leng Qian had spread the rumor. In the loyalty-gathering hall of the water stockade, the black dragon sat on his throne with a gloomy expression. He coldly said, second brother, you really have reached this step? In the loyalty-gathering hall sat the inept advisor of the water stockade. He frowned and said, First Master, there's something fishy about this. If, and I'm saying if second head really wanted to do this, why would he leak the news in advance? This doesn't make sense. The black dragon's expression froze and he said with uncertainty, Military advisor, do you mean that someone is purposely spreading fake news to sow discord between us? This subordinate is just guessing. But we still have to take the necessary precautions. Who could it be? Who would have such a motive? The black dragon asked. The military advisor's expression froze and he didn't dare to speak. The black dragon waved his hand and said impatiently, Military advisor, if you have anything to say, just say it. It's already come to this, there's nothing to be afraid of. Then this subordinate will be frank. This subordinate believes that third head is the biggest suspect. What? You mean Donglai? How is that possible? The black dragon was very surprised by the military advisor's answer. Since it was already clear, the military advisor didn't hide anything. That's right. First head, think about it carefully. If you and the second head were to fight, who would benefit the most? The black dragon thought for a moment and said with uncertainty, could it be the Shanghai town in the east? If we have an internal conflict, the Shanghai town will also benefit the most. They definitely have the motive to do so. The military advisor nodded and said confidently, this subordinate has also thought about it. It could be the Shanghai town. But according to the scouts, the Shanghai town is doing as usual and isn't on guard at all. They're probably still immersed in the festive atmosphere of the new year and don't even know of our existence. The black dragon clearly didn't believe it. He trusted Pei Donglai very much. He got up and paced back and forth in the hall, frowning and trying his best to see through the fog in front of him. Do you think this is all a farce? A smokescreen second brother released to make me suspect Donglai? If that's the case, he'll be able to win in the chaos. The black dragon's mind flashed and he blurted out. The military advisor was shocked. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that it was really possible. The second head called himself the water snake because he worshipped the cold-blooded and cunning nature of snake. This matter was really a bit like his style of doing things. Seeing that the military advisor was silent, the black dragon already knew that he had grasped the key to the problem. He said coldly, second brother, you really are an ungrateful wolf that can't be fed. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Immediately give the order to capture the water snake, dead or alive. Yes, sir. The military advisor didn't dare to delay. He immediately left the hall and deployed the troops. As the headquarters of the water bandits, there was a squadron of water bandits stationed in the hall, including 30 elite water bandits and 70 ordinary water bandit. This squadron was responsible for the security of the hall and took orders from the chief head, the Black Dragon. However, while the Black Dragon was still discussing countermeasures in the hall, the Water Snake had already made his move. He knew his big brother too well. Whether the news was true or false, there would be no place for him, the Water Snake, in the Water Bandits from now on. Since that was the case, why not take the chance and fight? As the second head of the Water Bandits, the Water Snake directly controlled 2 squadrons, including 60 elite water bandits and 140 ordinary water bandit. These troops were usually stationed in the Water Bandits' barrack. After receiving the news, the Water Snake immediately arranged for his trusted subordinates to deploy these troops out of the barracks in batches and gather at his house. At 11:30 in the morning, the Water Snake led his trusted subordinates out of the house and went straight to the hall. The mighty troops made the non-combat members of the Water Bandits feel uneasy. The rumor in the morning had become a reality. When the Water Snake's troops arrived at the entrance of the hall, the military advisor was leading the garrison troops to the Water Snake's house to arrest the traitor. As a result, the 2 groups of troops clashed in front of the hall. When the Black Dragon received the news, he arranged for people to go out from the back door to the barracks to ask for help while he rushed to the front door. Seeing the confrontation in front of him, he sneered and said, "Second brother, you really have disloyalty. Why, do you want to replace Big Brother so soon?" The Water Snake also sneered, "Big Brother, don't talk about second brother. Since Big Brother doesn't trust me, then as a younger brother, I can only apologize." Seeing that the situation wasn't right, the Black Dragon took a step back and said, "Second brother, as long as you send the troops back to the barracks, I promise to let bygones be bygones. How about it?" At this time, a trusted subordinate walked to the Water Snake's side and whispered, "Second head, I think the chief head is stalling for time. We should attack immediately, otherwise there will be changes if we delay." The Water Snake nodded and sneered, "Big brother, don't pretend. Everyone, attack." In terms of strength, the troops on the Water Snake's side were double that of the halls. They had the complete advantage. However, the Black Dragon's side relied on the arrow towers, city fences, antlers, and other defensive fortifications that the hall had set up. For a moment, they managed to stabilize their footing and the battle fell into a stalemate. They thought that once Pei Donglai arrived with the other 2 platoons of the barracks, the scales of victory would once again tilt in their favor. The Water Snake gritted his teeth and personally went into battle, determined to break through the hall as quickly as possible. As long as they could kill the Black Dragon, even if Pei Donglai rushed over, it would be useless. 2 flowers bloomed, one on each side. After successfully spreading the rumor, Lung Qian from the military intelligence immediately went to Pei Donglai's house. According to usual practice, Pei Donglai would only stay in the barracks in the afternoon. If there was nothing to do in the morning, he would usually stay at home. After all, there was a big difference between water bandits and regular soldiers. They didn't have the habit of waking up early every day for training, and most of them were undisciplined. This was also the reason why the Water Snake could smoothly move the troops out of the barrack. Otherwise, Pei Donglai would have noticed it long ago. As an outsider, Pei Donglai had no relatives in the Water Bandit. There were only 3 or 4 servants in the house. Ling Qian successfully snuck into Pei Donglai's study before he was discovered. "Who is it?" Pei Donglai asked warily from the study. "Greetings, General Pei. I am a messenger from Shanghai town. I bring greetings from my lord." The study was silent for 5 or 6 minutes before a voice came out. "Come in." Ling Qian breathed a sigh of relief and quickly walked into the study. He had been prepared to escape at any time. In the study, a middle-aged military general sat in the middle, holding a book on the art of war in his hand. He looked coldly at Ling Qian, who had just pushed open the door and entered. "You're really bold. How dare you barge into the water bandits and walk into my house so brazenly? Ling Qian was neither servile nor overbearing. He calmly said, I dare not accept General Pei's praise. Please forgive me for disturbing you. My lord cherishes talented people. When he heard that General was here, he specially sent this subordinate to pay a visit. As he spoke, he took out the letter written by Fan Zhongyan and handed it to Pei Donglai. Pei Donglai opened the letter. After reading it, his expression was uncertain. After a long silence, he finally said, I already know your lord's intentions. It's just that I am indebted to you for saving my life, so I must repay you. I will never betray the mountain bandits. Please go back. I won't stop you. Ling Qian nodded. He somewhat understood Pei Donglai's conflicted feelings. On one hand, he was indebted to him for saving his life. On the other hand, he was indebted to him for being a friend. It was truly difficult to choose. In the end, Pei Donglai chose to repay the debt and gave up the opportunity to fulfill his lifelong ambition. He was indeed a man who valued relationships. Chapter 73. After Ling Qian left the Pei residence, he did not leave the water bandits. Next, he had to stay in the water bandits and secretly monitor the situation, ready to pass on information to the outside at any time. Back to Ji Hall. Under the water snake's encouragement, Black Dragon's side retreated step by step and was about to fall. Black Dragon was so angry that he could only curse, Motherf *Ker, why aren't the reinforcements here yet? It's morning now, the third master is not in the barracks. We have to wait a little longer, the military advisor said carefully. If we wait any longer, we'll be collecting our corpses, Black Dragon said angrily. Just as Black Dragon said, before Pei Donglai could arrive, the water snake had already broken into Ji Hall. After surrounding Black Dragon's remaining troops, the water snake said proudly, How about it, big brother? As long as you kowtow to me and call me big brother, I'll spare your life. Black Dragon was a man after all, how could he endure such humiliation? Tui, do whatever you want. You want me, Black Dragon, to kowtow to you? Dream on. Since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, don't blame me for being rude, the water snake said sinisterly. Kill him. Under the arrows, Black Dragon died tragically. Once Black Dragon died, the remaining people, including the military advisor, all surrendered. In the Battle of Ji Hall, 32 people from the defending platoon died in battle, 68 surrendered and were captured. The two platoons of the Water Snake lost 58 people, 12 were seriously injured, and 130 were still able to fight. Among them, there were 45 elite pirates, and most of their fighting strength was still intact. Only then did Pei Donglai arrive at Ji Hall with 2 platoons of reinforcements. Receiving the news, the Water Snake happily led the remaining troops to stand guard in front of Ji Hall, loudly announcing to the pirates who came to help, Brothers, the first master is dead. From now on, I, the Water Snake, have the final say in the water bandits. Think carefully, do you want to follow me or follow an outsider like Pei Donglai? Among the 200 people that Pei Donglai brought, apart from 10 elite pirates, the rest were ordinary pirates. Therefore, although they had the advantage in numbers, they did not have the advantage in strength. Moreover, the other side had the geographical advantage. Hearing that the great leader was dead, Pei Donglai's face was filled with grief and indignation. He loudly said, Brothers, the water snakes are traitors. They attacked the Hall of Justice and killed the great leader. Everyone has the right to punish such traitors. Unfortunately, not everyone was as loyal as him. The pirates on Pei Donglai's side saw that the situation was hopeless. Following the second boss was not a bad choice. On the spot, more than 50 people joined the water snake's side. The rest were Pei Donglai's diehard followers. When the water snake saw this, it immediately laughed out loud. As expected, I'm more popular. Pei Donglai, you foreign B*****, it's not too late to leave now. I'll let you live. In reality, he didn't want to fight Pei Donglai again to avoid too many casualties. Now that he was the master of the water stockade, he was naturally unwilling. Pei Donglai said disdainfully, I won't live if I don't kill you, you traitor, to avenge the great master. Brothers, follow me and kill. Kill. Pei Donglai's direct subordinates were indeed extraordinary. All of them were full of courage. The water snake smiled coldly. You don't know what's good for you. Brothers, attack. With the addition of 50 people, the water snake felt that victory was already in its grasp. It simply gave up its geographical advantage and rushed out of the Hall of Justice to fight Pei Donglai's troop. Not far away, Leng Qian felt that the time was ripe when he saw the chaotic battle between the two sides. He immediately sneaked to a secluded corner and sounded the signal to attack. At the same time, he ran towards the water stockade's gate. At this moment, Ouyang Shuo was leading the cavalry and infantry platoons to ambush in the small forest outside the water stockade, ready to attack at any time. While waiting, he pulled Shi Wansui to the side and instructed him alone, General Shi, I'll give you a secret mission. Please speak, my lord. When we attack the water stockade later, no matter what the situation inside is like, your first mission is to kill that great master. This black dragon has done many evil deeds, but he also did Pei Donglai a favor. It's better to eliminate him as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary trouble, Ouyang Shuo said coldly. Don't worry, my lord. I guarantee that the black dragon won't live past today. Ouyang Shuo nodded and returned to the command center. He had no idea that the black dragon he was worried about had already died in the hands of the water snake. Less than 10 minutes after he returned, he saw Leng Qian shooting the signal. Ouyang Shuo was shocked. He immediately mounted his horse and said in a deep voice, Go! With the infantry platoon in front and the cavalry platoon at the back, they charged towards the water stockade's main gate. The guards at the water stockade's gate were dumbfounded when they saw the Shanghai town's army. This internal strife had involved all the combatants in the water stockade. The gate was an empty gate, so how could it withstand the attack of the Shanghai town's army? After taking down the city gate, Leng Qian came out from the side and said excitedly, Greetings, my lord. Ouyang Shuo nodded and asked hurriedly, How's the situation in the water stockade? Reporting to my lord, everything is going smoothly. The second commander has broken through the Hall of Righteousness and killed the Black Dragon. The third commander has brought his own troops and is fighting with the water snakes to avenge the Black Dragon, Leng Qian said quickly. Ouyang Shuo let out a sigh of relief when he heard that the Black Dragon was dead. Good. Let's go. This time, the cavalry platoon was in front and the infantry platoon was at the back. When the Shanghai town's army appeared in front of the Hall of Righteousness, both sides were stunned. They were caught off guard. The water snake was a ruthless character. He saw that the situation wasn't right and immediately yelled, Brothers, the enemy is here. Let's stop fighting immediately and fight together. The water bandits' eyes were bloodshot, and they roared after being provoked by the water snake. Only Pei Donglai had a surprised look on his face. He didn't think that the Shanghai town's army had been lying in ambush outside the stockade. This meant that everything that happened today was under the control of this mysterious lord. Ouyang Shuo laughed coldly. Those who surrender will be spared, but those who resist will die. Brothers, follow me, the water snake said sternly and led the charge. Ouyang Shuo's blood was boiling when he saw that a battle was inevitable. He roared, Charge! Lin Yi led the cavalry platoon and followed him. Protect the lord. The result was decided the moment the water snake decided to resist. The water bandits weren't good at fighting in the first place, and they were exhausted, especially the water snake's platoon. They'd fought 2 battles in a row and were exhausted. Shanghai town's side, on the other hand, was waiting for them to tire themselves out, and they were good at fighting on land. Ouyang Shuo and Lin Yi charged at the front, acting as the arrowheads. The cavalry platoon was like a sharp knife, tearing the water bandits in half. The shield platoon followed closely behind, reaping the lives of the water bandits without mercy. The water bandits lost their morale as their formation was broken. Ouyang Shuo took the opportunity to yell again, "Those who surrender will be spared, but those who resist will die. Those who surrender will be spared, but those who resist will die." The soldiers yelled in unison. Finally, someone couldn't take it anymore and threw down his weapon. Just like the plague, with one person taking the lead, the others followed suit. As for the water snake who'd just become a captain, he'd been shot dead by Shi Wansui. Since Black Dragon was dead, taking out a second captain was barely enough to complete the secret mission his master had given him. "Ha ha ha, I've advanced to 9th grade elite soldier, wahahaha." At this moment, a very disharmonious laughter came from the cavalry platoon behind him. Ouyang Shuo turned his head and saw Zhao Sihu laughing loudly on his horse, and Zhang Daniu staring at him with jealousy. He didn't think that Zhao Sihu would catch up and advance to 9th grade before Zhang Daniu. Ouyang Shuo called the two in front of him and smiled. "Good, there's finally a result. Zhao Sihu, here. I appoint you as the acting captain of the infantry platoon. Accept the appointment after the class change." "Thank you for the promotion, sir. I won't let you down." Zhang Daniu, here. I appoint you as the vice captain of the infantry platoon and the captain of the 1st infantry platoon. "Thank you for the promotion, sir. I won't let you down." Lin Yi smiled bitterly at the side. "Sir, you just transferred the 2 strongest squad leaders of the platoon away. What do you want me to do?" "What do we do?" "Nothing." After the joke, Ouyang Shuo said in a serious tone, "You still need to pay attention to the 2nd echelon. Try to recruit new people and promote them to the appropriate positions in time." "Yes." After the interlude, Ouyang Shuo began to arrange the aftermath. Li Mingliang, here. Take a team and gather all the non-combatants in the water village to the square in front of Juyi Hall. "Yes, sir." Li Mingliang led a team of cavalry and left. Liao Kai, here. Take another team of cavalry and stay here. Guard the captives. "Yes, sir." Zhao Sihu, here. Take a team of cavalry and lock down all the warehouses, armory, and gates of the water village. Don't let anyone near or kill them. "Yes, sir." Zhao Sihu led the 2nd infantry team and ran towards the granary and armory. Zhang Daniu, here. Take a team of infantry and help guard the captive. No mistakes. "Yes, sir." After arranging everything, Ouyang Shuo finally had time to meet Pei Donglai. "I've long heard that General Pei is a great talent. It's my honor to meet you today." Pei Donglai's face was pale. He said in a low voice, "I'm just a defeated general." "Sigh, this defeat is not your fault. There's no need for you to blame yourself. Now that the water snake has been killed and your revenge has been avenged, I've repaid the favor and done my part. A good man should gallop on the battlefield and make a name for himself, not stay in this small water village. I wish to give the position of Shanghai Town's Navy commander to you. I hope you can grant me this wish." Ouyang Shuo bowed to Pei Donglai and said sincerely. Pei Donglai's expression changed. He hurriedly dodged Ouyang Shuo's bow and knelt down on one knee. He said emotionally, "Sir, you're so benevolent. How dare I not do my best?" Ouyang Shuo helped him up and said with a smile, "General alone is better than an army." Chapter 74. After subduing Pei Donglai, Ouyang Shuo checked his attribute. Name, Pei Donglai, Gold, Identity, Commander of the Shanghai Town Navy. Occupation, Mid-Level General. Loyalty, 80 points. Commander, 65 Martial Power, 45 Intelligence, 40 Politics, 35 Specialty. Wave Treading, increases troops' mobility by 10 points in water battles. Shark Catching, increases troops' combat power by 20 points after activation, lasts for 20 minutes. Technique, Wave Saber Technique, 18 moves. Equipment: Ring Saber Evaluation. Former General of the Imperial Army, then turned to Water Bandit. Proficient in water battles, good at training troop. From Pei Donglai's attributes, his commander points were as high as 65 points, but his martial power was only 45 points. He was more of a commander-type intermediate general. This was actually a good thing for the Navy general. After all, in water battles, there weren't many opportunities for close combat. Instead, it was important to be a commander. During the time Ouyang Shuo was receiving Pei Donglai, the aftermath of the battle had been carried out in an orderly manner. The non-combatants of the water bandits rushed to the square in front of Ju-Yi Hall one after another, all panicking. The results of the captives had also been reported to Ouyang Shuo. After the battle, including the captives from the garrison of Ju-Yi Hall, the water bandits had captured a total of 308 water bandits. Among them, there were 48 elite water bandits and 260 ordinary water bandits. Ouyang Shuo smiled and said to Pei Donglai, "General Pei, do you have any suggestions on how to deal with these captives?" "Everything is up to you, sir." Pei Donglai was a new recruit, so he was still a bit reserved. It wasn't appropriate for him to express his opinion, especially on such a sensitive matter as dealing with the captives. General, don't be so reserved. How about this? I'll set a principle. There are 3 ways to deal with these captives. Those who have committed the most heinous crimes will be beheaded. Those with bad behavior will be sent to the quarry for a year. Those who perform well will be free citizens of Shanghai Town after that. The rest of the people will be incorporated into the Shanghai Town Navy and trained by the general. In addition, I've heard from Lingqian that all of your direct subordinates are good men and can be incorporated into the Shanghai Town Navy. I'm sure you know the characters of these captives better than I do. Therefore, I will entrust the matter of selecting prisoners of war to you, Ouyang Shuo said with a smile. Pei Donglai was very grateful for Ouyang Shuo's trust. "Thank you for your trust, sir. I will definitely not let you down." After handing over the matter of dealing with the prisoners of war to Pei Donglai, Ouyang Shuo began to deal with the ordinary residents gathered in the plaza. According to statistics, there were a total of 435 ordinary residents in the water stockade. Most of them were fishermen, sailors, the elderly, women, children, or skilled people. Ouyang Shuo would naturally deal with such people leniently. Apart from the evil family members of the water snakes, who were demoted to slaves, the rest of the people were given the status of free residents of the mountain sea town. Ouyang Shuo arranged for Lin Yi to lead the cavalry and Zhang Denyo to lead the infantry team to escort the prisoners and civilians back to Shanghai Town. At the same time, he arranged for a fast horse to inform the Supplies Reserve Department and the Finance Department to send people to check the water stockade goods and transport them back to Shanghai Town. After informing Ouyang Shuo of the various hidden treasure spots in the water stockade, Pei Donglai also left with the main group. He had to return to Shanghai Town to cooperate with the Census Bureau in screening the prisoners of war. At 2 in the afternoon, the Supplies Reserve Department and the Finance Department brought a large number of wooden oxen to the water stockade. With Pei Donglai's guidance, the transport of goods was very smooth. Ouyang Shuo once again used the spirit of Zhou Pai and moved the entire water stockade clean. Finally, Ouyang Shuo walked into the Ji Hall and saw the raised stone tablet. He didn't hesitate and pressed his hand on the stone tablet. A series of system notifications sounded. System notification. Congratulations, player who says nothing has destroyed a high-level water stockade. Please choose how you would like to deal with the water stockade. Take it, transfer it, or destroy it. Destroy it. Ouyang Shuo didn't want to leave any hope for the pirates, and chose to destroy it. System notification. Player who says nothing has chosen to destroy a high-level water stockade, randomly obtaining 20 blueprints of the water stockade and 20 building materials for all the buildings in the water stockade. System notification. Congratulations player who says nothing has obtained the dock blueprints, dojo blueprints, potion shop blueprints, and relay station blueprints. Reward: 8,000 units of wood, 2,000 units of stone. System notification. Congratulations player who says nothing has successfully destroyed a high-level water stockade. Reward: 500 achievement points, 1,000 reputation points. Not bad. Among the 4 blueprints, the potion shop and relay station were the basic buildings of a level 2 town. He could use them and save 100 gold. After destroying the water stockade, Ouyang Shua left Zhao Sihu to work with the Supplies Reserve Department and the Finance Department to transport the goods while he left on his horse. February 28, January 9, Shanghai Town Conference Hall. Ouyang Shua was in charge of the meeting. Fan Zhongyan, Tian Wenjing, and Cui Yingyu, Beihai villages Gu Xiuwen and Zhoufeng, and the military representatives Shi Wansui, Lin Yi, Pei Donglai, and Zhao Sihu. Tian Wenjing was the first to speak. We have obtained a large amount of goods from the water stockade battle. I have been entrusted by the Lord to make a simple announcement. Money: 728 gold coins, 57 silver coins, 49 copper coins, 12 architectural blueprints, 1 special item territory characteristic scroll, 4 civil official job change tokens, and 1 radiant armor forging technique manual. The rest of the basic goods and weapons are not included in this announcement. Ouyang Shua already had a plan for this batch of goods. He would take 700 gold and give the rest to the finance department to ease the financial pressure. Of the 12 blueprints, other than the relay station, the potion shop, and the alchemy workshop, which could be used in the level 2 town, the rest would be sold to the primary market. After deducting 20% of the transaction tax, he would get 40 gold. Of the special items, the territory characteristic scroll could be used directly, and the radiant armor forging technique manual would be given to the weapons workshop. Territory characteristic scroll. 4. After use, production skills will increase by 5%. Radiant armor forging technique manual. After use, the user will automatically grasp the forging technique. Ouyang Shua looked at the 3 chiefs and said, "There are 4 civil official job change tokens. Each of you can recommend a chief. We'll decide on the last token." Fan Zhongyan was the most relaxed. Of the 5 directors, only the director of construction, Zhao Duong, wasn't a civil official, so he could only recommend him. Cui Yingyu chose Qian Lifei, the director of the tax bureau, and Yang Yun, the director of the Four Seas Bank. After all, he was the director of the Seal Bureau. The most difficult one was Tian Wenjing. The 3 directors of the Resource Reserve Bureau, Du Xiaolan, Zheng Shanpao, and Zhao Yufang, as well as the deputy director of the Salt Bureau, Shen Jue, hadn't changed jobs yet. In the end, Tian Wenjing chose Zheng Shanpao. The reason was simple. In the last year-end assessment, only the Transportation Bureau didn't make any mistakes. The 2 directors of the Resource Department and the War Preparation Department were fined their salaries. Ouyang Shua didn't make any comments on the 3 directors' choices. Okay, Zhao Duong, Qian Lifei, Zheng Shanpao. I think the last position should be given to Shen Jue of the Salt Bureau. He had also noticed that compared to the high standard of the administrative department, the officers of the Resource Reserve Bureau seemed to be lacking. Therefore, he gave the last position to the Resource Reserve Bureau. As for why he chose Shen Jue instead of Du Xiaolan or Zhao Yufang, the reason was the same as Tian Wenjing's. Zhao Yufang, the potential talent that Ouyang Shua thought highly of, had missed an important opportunity again. If he didn't perform well in the future, then he would gradually fade from Ouyang Shua's sight. After distributing the civil officials' job change tokens, Ouyang Shua looked at Pei Donglai and said with a smile, "General Pei, please report the work of screening the prisoners of war." Pei Donglai stood up and saluted before saying, "I was entrusted by Sir to be in charge of screening the prisoners of war. Among the 308 prisoners of war, 8 have committed the most heinous crimes, and 120 have bad conduct. Very good, according to the rules I set before. The military will be responsible for the execution of the 8 heinous crimes, and the 120 with bad conduct will serve in the quarry for a year. The remaining 180 people, together with the 20 militia recruited by the North Sea Village, can be used to form 2 marine squadrons. Ouyang Shua said casually. Ouyang Shua was fully prepared to delegate the power to form the 2 marine squadrons. He continued, General Pei, you can choose the 20 squad leaders for the marine squadrons. Just report to me for the record. In addition, General Pei can recommend another squad leader candidate. Giving such trust to a surrendered general could be said to be extremely benevolent. Pei Donglai was naturally moved to tears and said emotionally, this general will definitely not disappoint Sir and train an elite marine army for Shanghai town. Ouyang Shun nodded and said, Zhou Feng. Yes. I appoint you as General Pei's assistant and acting captain of the 1st Marine Squadron. You will follow the general and learn how to train the Navy. When you reach the 9th rank and become a general, I will appoint you as a squadron leader. Although he was very confident in Pei Donglai, he still needed to arrange for someone to keep him in check. Zhou Feng, a young general that he had high hopes for, was undoubtedly the most suitable. Many thanks for the promotion, sir. I will definitely not disappoint you. After making arrangements for the Marine Army, Ouyang Shua looked at Gu Xiuwen. How many people does North Sea Village have now? Reporting to Sir, North Sea Village was promoted to a 3rd rank village yesterday and has a population of 512. Gu Xiuwen said proudly. Ouyang Shua nodded and said, we unexpectedly obtained a large number of people from the eradication of the water bandits. Of the 435 ordinary residents, leave some to satisfy Shanghai town's promotion to a 2nd rank village tomorrow. The rest will all be sent to North Sea Village. In this way, North Sea Village will soon have a full population of 1,000 people. Xiuwen, you must prepare to be promoted to a 1st rank village at any time. Yes, Gu Xiuwen said excitedly. Chapter 75. When Gu Xiuwen and his party left Shanghai town, Ouyang Shua gave him 200 gold coins for the 2 newly formed marine squadrons to change their professions. Greater than over equal to because the battle power of the pirates was higher than that of the militia, they could skip the militia and change their professions directly to marine. The cost for each marine was 1 gold coin. In Earth on 1E, generals did not have the authority to change their professions to soldiers. This authority was only available to the feudal lords and the officers of the subordinate territories appointed by the feudal lords. The purpose of this was to form a check and balance system to prevent generals from expanding the size of their army without permission. After that, Ouyang Shua went to the middle grade market and sold the 8 blueprints that he had no use for 40 gold coins. He then spent 200 gold coins to buy a high-grade military camp blueprint. Ever since the establishment of the regular army, the military expenditure had been increasing rapidly. In just a short while, he had spent 400 gold coins. March 1st, 9 a.m., Shanghai town's meeting hall. Ouyang Shua muttered in his heart to level up his territory. A white light flashed and a golden stone tablet slowly rose from the ground in the middle of the meeting hall. He pressed his right hand on the stone tablet and a system notification rang out. System notification. Checking the requirements for leveling up Shanghai town. Requirement 1. The population has reached the maximum population limit of 20,000 people. Requirements met. Requirement 2. All basic constructions have been completed. Requirements met. Requirement 3. The feudal lord must be at least a 2nd-class viscount. Requirements met. System notification. Congratulations to player who says nothing's leveling up conditions for Shanghai town have been met. Do you wish to level up? Level up. A golden light shot up from the stone tablet and exploded in the air, turning into a golden halo that spread out in all directions. The halo continued to extend to the new border of the territory before disappearing again. System notification. Congratulations to player who says nothing for becoming the first feudal lord in China to level up to a level 2 town. Achievement points awarded 1,100. System notification. Congratulations to player who says nothing for becoming the first feudal lord in China to level up to a level 2 town. Achievement points awarded 1,100. System notification. Congratulations to player who says nothing for becoming the first feudal lord in China to level up to a level 2 town. Achievement points awarded 1,100. It had only been 5 days since Di Chen's Handan town had leveled up to a level 1 town. Shanghai town had once again leveled up to a level 2 town. Its position as the overlord of the China server was becoming harder to shake. System notice. Congratulations to player not said not clothed for leveling up his territory to rank 2 town. The town lord's mansion was automatically upgraded. You may choose one of the 3 level 2 town basic buildings at random. System notice. 3 buildings have been randomly selected. They are the vegetable field, the textile factory, and the pharmacy. Please make your choice. Choose the textile factory. System notice. The building is being automatically generated. Please check for yourself. A white light flashed, and the golden tablet sank into the ground again. Ouyang Shua took this opportunity to check the town's attribute. Territory, Shanghai town, level 2 town, lord, who says that has no clothes, rank 3 Earl, title, world's number 1 town, increases territory popularity by 20, popular support, 90 public security, 90 territory population 2000/5000 refugee spawn rate 50, 1 plus 50 equals 75 refugees per day, territory area, 500 square kilometers, territory special characteristics. Refugee attraction rate increased by 50, special talent attraction rate increased by 20, crop yield increased by 50, production. Skill proficiency increased by 25, Army soldier level increased by 20, territory talent breakthrough success rate increased by 10. Affiliated village, Beihai village, level 3 village, territory capital, 4 Seas Bank territory resources, beginner lumberyard, intermediate quarry, beginner mining territory army, cavalry squadron, infantry squadron, marine squadron territory industry. North Twilight Salt Field, 2,000 acres. Political Index, 45 out of 100, determines administrative efficiency, affects popular support. Economic Index, 40 out of 100, determines trade prosperity, affects tax revenue. Cultural Index, 35 out of 100, determines education level, affects quality of residence. Military Index, 45/100, determines military strength, affects stable relationship, basic buildings. Town Lord's Mansion, Residential Courtyard, Town Toilet, Town Granary, Cemetery, Agricultural Buildings. Simple Farmland, Pigsty, Cow Pen, Sheep Pen, Mill, Mulberry Garden, Orchard, Commercial Buildings. Beginner Market, Intermediate Blacksmith Shop, Beginner Grocery Store, Advanced Woodworking Workshop, Advanced Medical Center, Advanced Martial Arts Hall, Advanced Tailor Shop, Beginner Pottery Factory, Brewery, Grain Shop, Butcher, Cloth Shop, Advanced Brick Kiln, Cultural Buildings. Town Ancestral Hall, Town Private School, Lianzhou Academy, Military Buildings. Intermediate Military Camp, Stone Sentry Tower, Stables, Weapons Workshop, Arsenal Special Buildings. Ferry, Dock, Intermediate Shipyard, Hidden Buildings. Mazu Temple, sealed. Recruitment Hall, list of basic buildings. Frowny Face Courier Station, a place for people delivering documents or officials to stay, resupply, and change horses. Construction requirement: beginner groom, courier station. Construction blueprint: wood 150 units, stone 800 units. Construction time 3 days. Vegetable field, grows vegetables. Construction requirement: vegetable seeds, wood 400 units, stone 200 units. Construction time 2 days. Herb garden, grows medicinal herbs. Construction requirement: medicinal seeds, wood 400 units, stone 200 unit. Construction time 2 days. Pharmacy, a shop that sells medicinal herbs. Construction requirement: pharmacy construction blueprint, wood 800 units, stone 400 unit. Construction time 2 days. Textile mill, a place where textile raw materials are processed and manufactured. Construction requirement: textile mill construction blueprint, wood 800 units, stone 600 unit. Construction time 3 days. Description: this building is automatically generated. Bank, a credit organization that deposits money. Construction requirement: bank building blueprint, 20,000 units of wood, 10,000 units of stone. Construction time 3 days. Description: completed. Alchemy workshop, a smelting workshop that processes all kinds of gold and silver accessories. Construction requirement: alchemist, alchemy workshop construction blueprint, wood 150 units, stone 180 unit. Construction time 3 days. Among the 7 basic buildings in the Level 2 town, the vegetable field and herb garden didn't need any construction blueprints. The textile mill and bank had already been built. As for the remaining courier station, pharmacy, and alchemy workshop, they had already obtained the corresponding blueprints when they destroyed the water bandits 2 days ago. Therefore, they didn't need to buy the blueprints anymore. Among the 7 buildings, the most troublesome one was the alchemy workshop. Alchemy was a rare profession in the China region. Usually, it was a part-time job of a Taoist priest. It was very difficult to find a professional alchemist. In his previous life, there was a territory that was stuck at Level 2 town for 3 months because of a lack of alchemists. But he didn't know if he could get one with the strong characteristics of Shanghai town. Of course, the system wouldn't push things too far. Generally speaking, if the other requirements for a territory to be promoted were met and they only lacked a special talent, in a month they would definitely be able to get one. In his previous life, that unlucky fellow had used the lowest grade bronze village creation order. The number of refugees spawned was 50, and it took him 2 months to reach the maximum population of 500. He had to wait another month for an alchemist to appear. Even with Shanghai town's high spawn rate, it would normally take 40 days to reach the maximum population of 500, which was quite a long time. After Shanghai town's promotion was completed, its 2 allies, White Birch and Mulan Village's Mulan Moon, came to congratulate Shanghai town on its promotion. Ever since they had formed an alliance, Ouyang Shua had been in contact with White Birch and Mulan Village's Mulan Moon, exchanging information on how to manage a territory and their construction progress. He knew that ever since he had taught them the strategy to raise a town, Spirit Rhino Village wasn't far from becoming a town. It would be promoted within the next 2 days. As Mulan Village's foundation was weaker and it didn't have as many connections as Spirit Rhino Village, its progress was slower. It would take at least another half a month. To be honest, other than the increase in the population limit and the expansion of the territory, this promotion didn't have much of an impact on Shanghai town. The town's administrative structure was basically complete, and the various industries had been laid out in an orderly manner. All that was left was to wait patiently. On the contrary, a deeper crisis was slowly creeping up on Shanghai town. The higher the territory, the greater the need for funds. In the early stages, Shanghai Village could rely on the 100 gold coins from the village creation quest to prosper. Now, hundreds of thousands of gold coins would be used up in no time. On the contrary, the major forces had already passed the difficult period of lacking gold coins. As the professional gold farmers established a foothold in the wilderness, they could obtain a steady stream of construction funds through credit. The reason why they were quiet now was that they were trapped by the obstacles set by the promotion of the town. Once they passed this obstacle, they would soar. Ouyang Shua estimated that after the promotion of Shanghai Town today, Di Chen would probably forcefully promote Handan Town to a second-class town the next day. Therefore, if Shanghai Town wanted to maintain its lead, it had to find a new source of funds. However, this was easier said than done. Other than suppressing bandits, which industry didn't require enough time to incubate. However, bandits were limited and couldn't be a long-term solution. In the face of so many challenges, Ouyang Shua had to remain calm. Therefore, after the promotion of the territory this time, he didn't convene a territory meeting with the officers from the various departments as usual. Instead, he returned to his office alone to think of a strategy. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.